It's especially personal to me, having been raised a Catholic, to be in a Christian church this morning as we are approaching Christmas. And I cannot help but think of what is happening in our city today and how that echoes with how outsiders have been treated for thousands of years.
What the is this?
How Mary and Joseph themselves were considered outsiders and forced to stay in a barn. That's what we're getting ready to commemorate as Christians around the world, while all of this fear is happening right here in our town.
Shut up, faggot.
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight, he's our friend Matthew Mastronardi. We appreciate that he goes by Matthew because we've already hit our Matt quota around here. Welcome back.
Saddle up, partner. Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me. It's good to be back. Thanks for inviting me.
I feel like I'm talking to a mirror because people said to me, "Hey, Matt, what happened to your hair?" Hey, Matt, what happened to your hair?
Yeah, my brother convinced me to cut my hair because we work together at the bake shop, like I said before, and yeah, he's just like, dude, you got to cut it, and I gave into the peer pressure.
Well, your brother is follically challenged, like some of us, right? So was he just looking for company for his misery, or what?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, by the way, follow Matthew on X at RealMastro21, linked in the description with the rest of his links on Linktree as well. How's the family baking operation going?
It's going really well. You know, we're in the shopping season, so it's Christmas season, and man, yeah, Black Friday was insane.
Good.
Like, malls are making a comeback. Actually, one of your listeners came and saw me.
Cool.
In Spokane, yeah. It was really cool.
Well,
shout out to whoever that is.
Yeah, whoever that was, thank you. Appreciate that. If people don't remember, of course, Matthew is the former Spokane high school teacher, fired for reading the N-word in the literary context of To Kill a Mockingbird. Now you have been demoted to the duct tape production, but we're glad to have you back.
Dude, it's awesome. I got my eggnog, nicotine, we're good to go.
All right. Well, in the news for discussion tonight, just hours ago, Dan Bongino says he is done at the FBI in January here. Dan, I guess, had said he was only going to do this for a year. At least I see people saying that. I was not aware. So I thought he was going to quit back during the Epstein Files stuff, but I wasn't expecting him to leave at this particular moment. So to me, it was surprising, but I feel like the idiot because everyone's telling me that he had been planning this, or at least that was known. I don't know, but he's leaving. Trump is addressing the nation right now, so we're competing with the president of the United States. Probably not wise, but the duct tape rolls on. In part, he's going to be talking about escalated action against Venezuela. We're now doing a blockade on at least their sanctioned oil tankers. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know if we're going to war with Venezuela or what the announcement tonight is, but it's happening right now. We'll talk about the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife. That news was breaking just when we were finishing up the show on Sunday night, Matthew. But a lot of reaction to discuss there. Absolutely crazy story.
Yeah, that was insane.
Got some updates on the shooting in Australia. Did you see the woman who? I know that, as I recall, your business had some Charlie Kirk related aggression. Was that?
Yeah, we put up a photo the weekend after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, just to, it was a way to show him honor and come together because there was a lot of people mourning, and yeah, we got a lot of threats.
Did you see the woman working at the Target in Chico, California?
I did not.
I'll show you later in the show. Viral moment this week. It's one of those instances where you can't believe the person recording thinks they're the good guy. but it's an elderly woman working at Target wearing a red Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt. And a deranged woman approaches her, calling her racist and threatening to report her to her boss because she dared wear a Charlie Kirk shirt. And now that older Target worker lady, she is sitting on something like $200,000 in Give, Send, Go money because she was harassed by this deranged woman with her phone. So we'll check in on that. Got some other odds and ends as well. Second half of the show, we'll take your calls, voicemails, and emails. Take your super chat. Also, we appreciate those of you who support the show. If you'd like to call the show live, you can do that through the Discord link in the description. There are instructions and help available on the Discord server for you. If you'd like to leave a voicemail or a text message for the show, you can do that in the next hour as well. Numbers in the description. Before we get into it, we got to say hello to our friendly listener-owned business for the evening. That's our friends at Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. These are high-quality, handmade, premium hardwood cutting boards, charcuterie boards, serving trays, and more, all of which are great gift options or the perfect piece to class up your kitchen or anywhere else in your home. Blake at Kineo Mountain made me a cutting board engraved with my YouTube channel logo. It looks amazing. Been a part of our kitchen for a long time now, has not aged a bit. And in addition to the quality, that's the best part about Kineo Mountain's products. They are fully customizable, not just in materials, but in engravings too. So if you'd like to personalize a gift like that one, that can be arranged. Or if you have any other custom hardwood project in mind, no matter how big or how small, Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing can make that a reality for you. Just get in touch at kineowood.com. All Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products are made in Colorado from premium domestic hardwood sources. Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing is the absolute highest quality woodworking. It will last you forever. Listeners of this show get 10% off all Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products and services using promo code MATT10 at checkout. That's promo code MATT10 for 10% off at kineowood.com, KINEOWOOD.com. Find all the information at mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners for listeners. Couple of announcements before we get into it. Big time. I know the storms in Washington are crazy right now. Are you guys getting this wind or is it just rain?
Yeah, my brother lost electricity this morning for 4 or 5 hours.
I'm about to. So if I go away, for you and for people listening, if it just cuts, that's what happened. Because around here, not like exactly where I live, but over the mountain passes here, winds were hitting like 90 miles an hour today. So we've had some flickering lights and all that sort of stuff. Nice. So just a warning if we disappear. And this will be the last Wednesday show of 2025. Of course, the next 2 Wednesdays are Christmas and New Year's Eves. The Wednesday stream will return January 7th. As I mentioned, Sunday stream, I plan to continue that as scheduled. We'll be on this Sunday, the 21st, the 28th. Might have some shorter holiday season shows, but I plan to keep the show going on those Sundays. As always, if you're looking for the show and you can't find it, mattchristiansenmedia.com. I'll put the latest information up there on the homepage. But big news of the day, really just within the last few hours, the resignation or the departure of FBI Deputy Director, Dan Bongino, leaving the Bureau in January. And he really didn't elaborate much. He just said, I will be leaving my position with the FBI in January, thanks to President Trump, AG Bondi, Director Patel, for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Most importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, for the privilege to serve you. God bless America and all those who defend her. So I don't know how closely you followed the Epstein files stuff in the spring, Matthew. That was before the great N-word incident of 2025, I believe. But there was a lot of tension between Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino, reportedly. It was never in the public, but reportedly they were kind of at each other's metaphorical throats behind closed doors. So I don't know if you interpret... Again, a lot of people are saying Dan Bongino intended to leave the whole time. I thought he was going to quit then. I thought that once the Epstein stuff became a giant joke, he was going to leave. He didn't. I don't know. Cynically, I could interpret this as like Pam Bondi, the incompetence that was, the deep state corruption that he went there to confront, ideally to help prosecute. All that stuff won, if you want to be very critical. Or we can believe he did what he went there to do. He found the January 6th pipe bomber. And he's leaving in the terms he set out previously. Are you positive on this, negative on this, optimistic, pessimistic?
Kind of neutral. To me, I don't really know what sparks a person to leave these days. It could either be that there's too much blackmail on them now, or they know too much and they're just being given the opportunity to leave quietly. But he was a pretty big believer in the Epstein files before when he still worked at Fox News. And then, after, I think it was over the summer, they said the files don't exist, right? And then he jumped on that bandwagon, and now they're going to supposedly release them again. And so it's a sign. I think
Friday's the deadline. That's the thing too. Friday's the deadline to release them. Dan Bongino, he'll still be there on Friday, but he's leaving shortly, and it's time for war with Venezuela.
Yeah,
roll out the distraction. The Epstein files are supposed to come out. I don't know if that's what's
maybe
going on.
He just wants
here,
to ride off into the sunset and just he's done. Like, I don't know.
Well, Trump is saying he wants to go back to his show. Of course, Dan had a very successful show before he went to the FBI. Trump said that earlier today. Dan wants to do a show again.
Oh, Dan did a great job. I think he wants to go back to his show. Yeah, I do.
And I like Dan a lot. I think he's a good man. Wish him the best. He's featured my content over on his website before, which I really appreciate. And I hope everything is successful for him. I do think that this potentially is going to be a little bit tougher. I'm not saying Dan Bongino is going to come back and everybody's going to hate him and his show is going to crater and nobody's going to listen to it anymore. Of course not. But I do think there'll be some challenges here, because if Friday comes and goes and we don't get a meaningful Epstein release, which who's actually predicting a meaningful Epstein release, even though Congress has supposedly required it, what is Dan going to be able to say when he comes back to his show? Because if he has to come back and say, yeah, we tried sorry about the Epstein files stuff, but yeah, we were going to prosecute all these people in the deep state, but reasons that I can't talk about because of, gag rules X, Y, and Z. Or maybe he'll be able to speak freely. I hope that he's able to speak freely. Frankly, if he's willing to tell, like, we couldn't do this because why, and why is totally honest, yeah, I think we all want to hear that. And I think Dan Bongino is a good, honest man. I don't think he's a liar or something like that. So I'd be very interested to hear what he has to say. I hope the situation for him is not, sorry, we weren't able to achieve all those things, and I can't talk about why we weren't able to, but I'm going to resume talking about other stuff. That's a challenging spot. I hope he's not put in that spot.
It'll also be interesting just to see how his relationship with Trump is over the next year, because you saw, when Kayleigh McEnany, she left the White House, it wasn't too much longer where she kind of was on Trump's bad list, and you saw him, criticizing
Even after
her.
McEnany? I don't even
He
remember
did
that.
a couple times, yeah.
What did she do? I don't
know. I think she just gave an honest criticism, and so we'll see.
And I want to be fair to Dan too, because even though a lot of the corruption that he's talked about on his show for a long time, presumably implicitly remains to the extent nobody was prosecuted over these things. I mean, I guess we're going, there's the Comey thing, whether that continues or not. There are very few, if any, meaningful prosecutions. Dan Bongino is not the prosecutor. Pam Bondi is the prosecutor. And if you ask me who I trust between Pam Bondi or Dan Bongino, that's a very easy question to answer.
100%.
So whatever, I just hope he's free to talk about it. We'll find out, I guess, sometime in the new year. And if he's not, it's not going to be satisfying. I hope might not even necessarily be his fault, but it's going to be a tough situation for him to navigate.
Yeah.
How closely do you follow the saga of Fani Willis?
I thought it was Fanny.
No, it's Fani.
Fani?
Yeah, Fani.
I like Fanny better.
Yeah, that's what I say. But all the Trump prosecution stuff I thought was over. And I guess it is really, this is just kind of an investigation into it. She's back in the news, Fani. It's been a little while since we've seen her Jerry Springer antics. If you don't recall, Fulton County prosecutor in Georgia tried to get Trump in that giant racketeering case, but then she hired her married boyfriend, Nathan Wade, to handle the case, and it blew up in a corrupt disgrace. And she was kicked off the case, or Nathan Wade was kicked off the case, and then it was taken out of her hands. And I think there is still a guy who is handling it, but I don't know if the case is going to continue. Anyway, the Georgia State Senate is investigating all those Jerry Springer antics of hers. And so she was at the state capitol to testify today in Georgia. And in trying to defend the honor of her disgraced boyfriend, she demanded that the panel investigate mistreatment of them, her and her boyfriend. But the mistreatment includes how many times she's been called the N-word.
I'll give you time allowed Mr. Wade to bill 160 hours a week, and then Mr. Wade would be the first one in the office making sure that my staff arrived. He corrected their behavior. They thought that 8:30 meant 8:30. He taught them that 8:30 means 7:45. He got there before them. He left after him. He taught them how to do this case, and he was a leader to that team and a public servant. And for that, him like me has been threatened thousands of times. You want something to investigate as a legislature? Investigate how many times they've called me the N-word. Why don't you investigate that? Why don't you investigate them writing on my house? Why don't you investigate the fact that my house has been swatted? If you want something to do with your time that makes sense, and you can use all this in your campaign ad, you attacked Fani Willis.
I don't even like racism. I don't think nothing's funny about it.
You never read To Kill a Mockingbird to Fani Willis, did you?
No, she
Okay.
She didn't make the list, no.
Now, I run a duct tape production around here, Matthew. So I usually refrain from production critiques of others' work. However, whoever the audio engineer is handling that hearing needs to be fired. They somehow managed to make Fani Willis even more insufferable and annoying.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I wonder if she has a tally. Investigate how many times I've been called the N-word. Has she kept track? Or
Yeah, I just think it's funny how, like, white people are not allowed to say that, but technically, like, in that situation, like, why isn't she allowed to say it either, right? She's holding herself to an interesting standard, right? Like, white people can't say it.
You want her to hard R on the stand?
Yeah, go for it.
Matthew had the balls to do it. Why don't you, Fani? He paid the price. Will you hire her at your bakery if she says it?
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's like instant hire. You don't even have to interview. You can just start working tomorrow.
Okay. Well, hey, if I'm in the job market in future, do I get the same offer?
If you ever need a job, just
whip
drop
out
the hard Mockingbird.
Okay, but it's got to be literary. Fair enough.
Yeah, literary.
We're highbrow. Okay. This isn't really going anywhere, this investigation. I just bring it up because I thought that exchange was funny, and it was kind of fiery today. But this is your typical legislative investigation panel. They don't have the power to prosecute her. They don't have the power to do really anything. They have the power to write a report that nobody will read, and they're going to do that once they're done investigating the conduct of Fani Willis, who people forget this is not just like some sort of lover's tryst type controversy. When I say Jerry Springer, it's really not that. This was the theft of public money, funneling it to her boyfriend that benefited not only him, but her in the form of kickbacks through vacations and all kinds of. This is a very serious financial scandal. And the fact that she isn't criminally prosecuted for some of the stuff that happened here. Again, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know how what she did isn't criminal, and it's merely a political scandal, and she was reelected. Everybody in Fulton County, Georgia looks at that, regardless of politics. Yeah, she stole a bunch of money and spent it on personal things and gave it to her boyfriend who was married, but she has a D next to her name, and she's going to get Trump, and that's really all I care about.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then those sound bites, like, it's just, I hate to think like people just want to be in the spotlight too. And so
yeah, well, that's what her whole thing was.
Yeah, she was in the news every day. It probably felt good, and you know, you like seeing your name come across on headlines, and so do something really dramatic to get back in there.
Well, she made headlines today,
and
entertained me for sure. So well done, Fani. The military action involving Venezuela is getting ever more serious. We have, of course, we've had a few months of these boat strikes. We're getting the drug boats in the Caribbean. Then there was the tanker seizure last week. Then yesterday, Trump ordered what he called a complete blockade, but that's not actually what's going to happen here. But it is a blockade, at least enforcing the sanctions on oil tankers going to and from Venezuela. So some of these tankers are going to be blocked, not all. But Venezuela, of course, depends on these oil tankers to export all of its oil, I believe. They don't have another method of doing it except by sea. And, of course, it's the key industry to that country and that country's economy. So Trump clarified later, and this New York Times reporting does too, when he says total blockade, it's not as though all boat traffic in and out is going to be gone. It's just there's going to be stepped up enforcement of what is sanctioned oil. I'm not clear on what the terms are for what is sanctioned here and what is not. I guess it depends on where it's going or what. I don't know. But some of it will be policed. Some of it won't. And we're going to have our guys there, our Navy there doing some of this policing. Obviously, this is part of a larger battle between Trump and Venezuelan President Maduro. So what is it that Trump is looking to get out of Maduro? Well, he wants him to leave. There was a report at the end of November that Trump had given on a phone call a deadline to the Venezuelan President Maduro to get out. You have 1 week to get out, to leave. He didn't leave, and we're still not at least making direct strikes on Venezuela or anything like that. But of course, the conflict with Venezuela has to do with the alleged trafficking of drugs. Nobody's really saying that Venezuela is making the drugs, and to my knowledge, I don't think they are. But the allegation is it's a key trafficking facilitator route for drug traffic to the United States. And then, of course, it's the trafficking of people. It's how many immigrants, illegal or otherwise, have come to the United States from Venezuela, either escaping the nonsense that's going on in Venezuela or, according to Trump's allegations, intentionally releasing their prisoners, they're mentally ill, all those sorts of people to our country. So Trump has a lot of things he wants to get out of Maduro. Maduro is just saying this is all a smokescreen. This is all a front to try to get at Venezuela's oil resources. Okay, so the question is, where are we headed as far as military action here? Again, we had that deadline to Maduro at the end of November. We haven't seen military action directly on the country yet in response, or at least a direct effort to remove him, though, of course, reports say we got our CIA guys in there trying to meddle and get Maduro out of office one way or another. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said there's no possibility of U.S. troops being deployed, at least on the ground, in Venezuela. But the escalation continues. Trump is making big threats and big moves. And I don't know what you think, Matthew, but I think Trump, however, even assuming that his characterization of the drug trafficking, and of course, I don't think there's any doubt about the level of human traffic that has come from Venezuela. All of that can be true. But I really think that the first of all, independent of the politics, just on moral, philosophical terms, I think that international conflicts are generally best avoided where possible. I don't want to be involved with every country on the planet, things that aren't necessarily our business. But even in political terms, Trump is low on political capital right now, I think. He's elected on the economy and inflation and immigration and generally reducing or minimizing foreign wars and foreign entanglements. The record's been somewhat mixed on those things. And if we get some kind of serious action more directly on Venezuela, I had a friend compare this to Iraq potentially. Like, we got all this story about what this country is doing, and we're going to use that as a pretense to go remove their president or meddle in their country. And I think that's a worst case scenario. I'm not predicting that's what Trump is doing here, but I think the one thing that could be different from, say, an Iraq situation is I think the public patience for something like that will be very, very short. It might not live at all. So yeah. I think Trump's got to be very careful with what he's doing here. And again, I don't know what he's announcing right now, if anything, but what's your Venezuela take?
Well, we have a bunch of Venezuelans who have moved to Spokane. Mm-hmm. And, I know in Argentina and other countries in South America, like Uruguay, Venezuelans are just moving there in droves. Venezuelans do not like this guy. And, Maduro, that is. Yeah, President Maduro. And there's been a few referendums that have been shut down, elections that just really weird things. Like I've heard of the electricity going out in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden, like, election results are switched. Political.
No, that's Georgia. That's Fani Willis. Yeah. No, or was that Pipes? I forget.
So I do feel bad for Venezuelans who are living under this. He's just basically a continuation of Hugo Chavez, and it's just getting worse and worse. But it seems weird that to pick on Central and South America have not been countries that the United States has had any conflicts with, really, like significantly, especially like militarily in the last 20 years. And so, it's just weird. And you hate to think that they're just trying to, gear up for some sort of armed conflict, a war of some sort.
Well, they say I've had friends whose judgment I trust and have warned me, because I generally have not been an opponent of the drug boat strikes. I believe the drug trafficking is real, for mostly because Democrats on the Intel committee grant that there are drugs being trafficked. And I know that if Democrats if they've seen the evidence and they admit that there's evidence, I'm going to take that as probably true. But some friends who are more concerned about this have said things like, no, you don't understand. It's going to lead to an attempt at regime change and all the bullshit we've seen in the past. And I thought, well, I don't know. Does it really have to? I viewed it more as just defense. And now we're teetering closer and closer to the Venezuelan shore. And I'm starting to get a little more worried. I'm starting to get a little more skeptical, because this is less about defending our country from people bringing dangerous materials here.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not accusing Trump of trying to the report is that he called the guy and said, get out or I'm coming after you. But the closer we get to regime change, the more my eyebrow is raising. And even, like I said, on the pure political term, I don't know who you think is going to be a big fan of this, because I just don't think there's going to be a lot of patience for it. This is a big spend of political capital if you keep going on this. With I guess if I had to steel man it, try to think what the best possible reward is. Okay, ideally you get somebody else in Venezuela who isn't sending drugs here and isn't sending people here. When do we ever get the ideal leader in any country, though, whenever we try to meddle? We were talking on Sunday about what happened in Syria with the killing of the U.S. soldiers. And it's we're propping up a former Al-Qaeda guy there to stop ISIS from gaining power. It's we might get this commie out, and then who's the next guy in Venezuela? Is he really so much better?
Do you think they want to control the oil production?
Again, that's what a lot of the harshest critics have been telling me. And to me, it didn't seem unreasonable to think this is about drug trafficking. So my inclination was no. But the closer we get to Venezuelan land and the further away we get from American land, start to question, what is this really about? Again, we're not there yet. I know I'm being a little doomsday, sky is falling right now, because we're not quite there. The trajectory is moving that way. I'm a little nervous about that.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
Anyway, let's talk a little Rob Reiner. And I think, by the way, if there's any news on the Venezuela stuff, Tim is monitoring what the president is saying, producer Tim, so he might pop in our ear and let us know what's going on. But anyway, the news was breaking right as we were ending the stream on Sunday, so really didn't get to talk about it. But Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, were murdered by their son, Nick, or at least allegedly murdered by him. He's charged now. Their bodies discovered Sunday at their home in Brentwood, California, apparently with their throats slit. So just a horrifically brutal murder. Nick Reiner, apparently the son who is accused of committing the murder, has a history of mental illness and drug abuse. Now, that's not even really alleged. I was reading earlier today, he went to drug rehab. Nick Reiner, if there's a picture of him here, I don't know. But he went to drug rehab when he was 14. Okay. So he got an early start on a lot of things, it seems. But it's reported that there was a fight between Rob Reiner and his wife, not between them, but the parents, Rob and Michelle versus Nick, at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party over the weekend. It might have been Saturday night. And that was shortly before the murders were committed. A lot of people witnessed this. It was at an event where a lot of people were, and the fighting was very open. They were in open, hostile disagreement. So maybe that's a factor in why this happened. Nick, so far, they arrested Nick. He's charged with 2 counts of murder. And he's being held without bail. He may face the death penalty or life in prison if convicted. So far, he's not confessed. Investigators are building a case against him, connecting the dots of the evidence. But yes, we have to talk about the Post. I know I'm late to talk about the Post, but then Trump comes out on Monday and does the Trump thing. And it's just a Truth Social post ripping Rob Reiner, who, of course, was an outspoken political opponent, political critic of Trump's for many years. So Trump posted, quote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as, all caps, Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace." And of course, the reaction to this post is now a major piece of the discussion. And I have a friend, Matthew, who's a Trump super fan. And we talk about all sorts of stuff, but one of the reasons I love talking to him is because he's the kind of guy who will defend Trump no matter what. Like, no matter what Trump does, genius, best thing ever, even when it's clearly not, even when it's clearly idiotic. And for my friend, I think it's like half a bit, half serious. He really is a Trump super fan, but I think part of the bit is just never giving an inch on Trump ever making a mistake. But we were texting about this because I saw it on Monday. And I told him, I'm like, man, I don't know. I think that's finally the one. Like, I think that's finally the tweet that is too mean. This is finally the tweet where I'm going to pearl clutch about the mean tweet. And I really have to. We had a email question about this too that, of course, people were going to ask about. But, I was really bothered by, and it sounds like you were too, the grave dancing about Charlie Kirk. And I wouldn't quite categorize this in the same way, but I mean like the outright cheerleading. Yes, we are glad. He deserved it. Who's next? That kind of pom-pom waving stuff. And the reason I was bothered by that is because these people were saying in one form or another, that guy deserved what he got, or what happened to him is understandable, if not deserved, because of what he thought or because of what he said. No, murder is wrong. There's no qualifier for it based on opinion, based on what you say. And that does apply in this case too. Now, in fairness to Trump, as I mentioned, this isn't exactly the same thing. I wouldn't say that Trump is celebrating the murder with this tweet. He's saying it's a very sad thing. He's saying, may they rest in peace. But fundamentally, he's still refocusing the crime of the murder, number one, to make it about himself, but that's kind of what Trump always does. But number two, he's implying that if Rob Reiner wasn't so crazed in his political opposition, maybe he wouldn't be dead, or maybe it played some role in what happened to him. So Trump officially gets the disavow from me.
Stop being such a pussy.
Do you agree, disagree?
No, I agree. This is definitely a Trump L, because, yeah, like you said, it's not the same exact thing as some of the cheerleading in the streets that you were seeing for a guy who was shot in the throat. But this is I would say this is a breach of humanity a little bit. Like, this would have been such an easy win for him too. Like, what people really want is to see Trump exercise just a little bit of humility, maybe a little bit of kindness. And
Impossible.
So like a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. That's a great start.
Right.
He could have just said,
on
like,
fire.
May, like, he was winning right there. And then he could have just said, like, we're really sad about this. Murder is a heinous and evil crime, and we're going to do everything we can to, see that this man comes to justice, and may he rest in peace. Like, that would have been such an easy win. And to do that for somebody who didn't like you, it shows a little bit of class. And, it's really sad. But, I don't know what Trump thought he was going to get out of that message.
Well, I've seen a lot of people defending it, saying things like, your apology is not going to stop their bullets. And That's correct. I have guns to stop their bullets if it comes to that. I don't think my apologies are going to stop the bullet. I've never been under that illusion. Trump's post is not going to stop the bullets either, though. It is also not bulletproof. The point is shooting bullets over words is wrong. That was the entire point of the Charlie Kirk episode. That point applies here. I know the bullets are metaphorical in this case, but the same principle applies. This post doesn't call for bullets over words, but it is still saying that the bullets, metaphorically, should be viewed in the context of what a person says or what his beliefs are. And that's not correct. And that's the principle that is common in both of these cases. But yeah, and the thing is, too, like, it is not cowardly to stand up for moral principle. I know that sometimes moral principle perceivably puts you at a disadvantage relative to your enemy, but it is not about surrendering to your enemy. It is about obeying the laws of the world given to us by God. There's nothing cowardly about that. In fact, it takes courage to stand up for those things, even when it puts you at a disadvantage, because there's a God-given purpose behind it. Or even when your friends bend the rules and, damn it, his tweets are funny, and like 99% of them I'm willing to go to bat for. But this
so what did your friend say? What was his defense of this?
I can't remember. I could go back and look in my phone and see exactly what he said. But something to that effect, like, it wasn't as harsh, like, oh, you're gonna lose to these people and they're gonna kill you. But it's just like appreciation of playing it tough, like treating. And by the way, I remember the speech Trump gave after Charlie was shot, and it was something like, Charlie would tell me to be nice to my enemies, and I respect that, but I fucking hate my enemies. So whatever he said, it's like. He was consistent on that. I can credit that, I guess. But the problem is consistently wrong. I'm not saying Trump is always wrong, but I think being consistently wrong about the principle here is a problem, and that has to be corrected. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's enough pearl clutching and disavowing from me. Trump was asked by, no, it's not, because I got to get to Trump's verbal commentary about it. He was asked by reporters, or a reporter, if he stands by the Truth Social post given the pushback. And he stuck by the same theme. Rob Reiner was a very politically foolish man.
A number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. It was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country. Yeah.
Loose lips, Mr. President.
It's definitely a no for me, dog.
A lot of people commenting on how it's. I saw Owen Schroyer say TDS goes both ways. The idea being, and I don't know if he was talking about exactly this. He was talking about something though. But the idea being like Trump glorification syndrome is also a thing though. Like if you can't make a guy who just had his throat slit by his son, if you can't stop yourself from making that about you, you may have TGS. But I don't think anybody would be shocked to learn that Trump himself has Trump glorification syndrome. That really is his brand.
Yeah. Yeah, he doubled down, but yeah, somebody had to be in the room before he hit post on that. Like
that one was straight from the golden toilet, man, all by himself. Anyway, there's another side to this too, though. That is to say, Trump is. We're being critical here, obviously, of why Trump is or how Trump is contextualizing what happened to Rob Reiner. Is it wrong always to ask the why question, though? Because this is a heinously gruesome murder by all accounts. And Nick, his son, there's a record of him having drug abuse problems, a record of him having mental illness problems. That could be it. Could be that simple. Just unfortunate situation for that son. Nothing more to it. Is it possible there's more context, though? And again, this is not justification. This is just trying to understand the circumstances that cause a son to attack his parents with a knife in this way. There's a clip that's circulating from the 2000 roast of Rob Reiner. I saw this through friend of the show, Viva Fry, who I think originally saw it through Owen Benjamin here. And this is former Senator Al Franken, who was roasting Rob Reiner. And the punchline is that Rob Reiner's dad rapes him and traffics him for sex in Hollywood.
Rob was routinely beaten by his father, Carl. On a typical night, Carl would slip into Rob's bed, roll him over, swab him down, and say something like, "I'm thinking about hiring Maury Amsterdam to play Buddy Sorrell. What do you think?" Well, the success of the Dick Van Dyke Show changed things dramatically. Carl started inviting many of his famous friends to son.
Round them all up. These people are sick pedophile groomers.
I get it. It's a comedy setting. You're making jokes. I can't assume everything there is serious. But the thing about jokes, Matthew, there's usually like a taboo truth that makes them funny. So what is the taboo truth present in the punchline of Rob Reiner's dad submitted him to the sexual depravity of Hollywood?
Yeah, where did he get the subject matter to even like? Yeah. How did that joke even flash through his brain? Like there had to be, maybe not have to be, but like usually there's some sort of root you can grab onto, and then you run with a joke, and then it's complete, fiction or something like that. But usually there's like what makes a joke is that usually there's a hint of truth to it.
Yes, and there's probably a hint of truth to what he's saying. And you wonder what might cause, again, it's pure speculation. No idea. But a family where there's a whiff of truth to what Al Franken is saying there, maybe that does have something to do with how sons end up stabbing their fathers in the throat. I don't know for sure, but just plausible theory.
That'd be just what a terrible thing.
Well, the thing about that too, I don't know. They haven't said a lot about the exact timing of the murders, but obviously, anytime you have a stabbing death, it's a very personal experience. But presumably, one parent saw what happened to the other first. I would assume, like, mom saw it happen to Rob first. Maybe not. I don't know. They were both almost 80 years old, I think. So, he could probably overpower them, especially if he's on drugs or whatever. But it's just the idea of like one spouse watching another be murdered in such a hideous way, and then knowing it's coming for you. And it's your son. It's not like a masked intruder where you have no idea who the person is or why they're doing this. It's your son who you brought into this world. What an awful way to go.
Yeah, it's inconceivable.
But I want to talk a little bit about some updates in the Inconceivable, by the way. That's a great Rob Reiner reference. Isn't that the thing?
Pride and Prejudice. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Princess Bride.
Or Princess Bride. Yeah, not Pride and Prejudice. Princess Bride. You're right.
Inconceivable. Whatever. Yeah. Right. It's been a long time since I saw that movie. People gave. We used to do movie reviews on my stream, and I gave it a 3 out of 5. I wasn't a huge fan out of it. Yeah, everybody was. That one and Groundhog Day. People were probably the most mad at me for. But anyway, got some updates on the Australia mass shooting, Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia, on Sunday, of course. And when we talked about it on Sunday, that is, the question was, which way will Australia go? What will Australia's response be? Will they get serious about, I don't know, maybe the immigration issue? Will they double down on the censorship and the gun control? And that was never really a question. We already knew where they were going to go. Of course, it would be more censorship and gun control, but it's only been a few days and the Australian government is already on it. Despite investigators finding makeshift ISIS flags in the car of this father and son shooter, we're not talking about radical Islam in any meaningful detail. The Prime Minister is warning about right-wing extremism.
We take ASIO's advice very seriously. We work closely with them. We receive regular updates as well. The Director General of ASIO has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
Does Islamic Jihad count as right-wing extremism? I guess kinda. maybe.
Yeah.
The prime minister's already working on more gun control too. So, of course, we went
Aren't
through
they
some
famous for the famous gun buyback?
Yeah, they did a mandatory
time ago.
buyback. We went through some of the laws on Sunday, and yeah, I mean it's ridiculous. It's possible to own guns there, but it's very there's a massive process to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to make the process even more massive. The prime minister says they're pursuing new rules so that only Australian citizens can get a gun license. You have to have a license to buy a gun and I think you have to have a permit per gun purchased as well. But now only Australian citizens will be able to get those licenses, is what they're saying. And they're going to restrict even more types of guns. It looks like these guys I saw a bolt action rifle and maybe a pump action shotgun is what they were running. They weren't running like typical AR setups or something like that. They're also going to say the licenses, they're going to make them expire. So you'll have to have more frequent checks on gun owners, among some other proposals. And unfortunately, the lesson for this tragedy, like all others like it, is that a disarmed population does not help. It makes good people helpless. And we know, we saw that with that Ahmed El Ahmed guy. Did you see the guy who tackled the shooter and took his gun?
Yeah, he was hiding behind the car and he snuck up behind him.
Yeah. So that guy, of course, had some very commendable bravery. He got shot and there was some confusion. He had the gun and it looked like maybe he didn't know what to do with it. And then he sent it down and all this. It turns out before all that, there was an older couple. Their names were Boris and Sophia Gurman. They both tried to stop the older shooter. Remember, it was a father and son. They were on the side of the road before the shooting really got started. And these two, they're 61 and 69 years old. They tried to wrestle the gun away, and that moment was captured on some passing dash cam footage. The video is not great quality, but you do get an idea of what that looked like, their attempt to stop the shooter. It's not graphic or anything, but they're on the side of the road wrestling with this guy, trying to pull a rifle or a shotgun away from him as cars are passing by. And unfortunately, they were not successful. Ultimately, that shooter got a hold of one of his guns and shot them both dead on the sidewalk. And maybe if we weren't relying on 61 and 69-year-olds to engage in hand-to-hand combat with people who are much younger than them, the shooters were 24 and 50 years old, maybe if they had handguns on them, maybe if they were able to effectively stop this shooter before he really got started, not only are they still alive, but you might have pretty much everybody on that beach still alive if they instead were equipped to protect themselves and others instead of relying on 61 and 69-year-old hands to try to stop him. So that's the unfortunate reality that has to be demonstrated. Maybe taking guns away from people like Boris and Sophia or making it very hard for them to get them, that has the opposite effect from what we're trying to achieve here. Makes good people helpless. Stops these good people from being able to help others. It's really unfortunate to see that there were brave people willing to intervene in that moment and not able to because they didn't possess the proper tools. And it cost them their lives, and unfortunately it cost the lives of others too. Yeah.
Do we know how the terrorists, the gunmen's, like, how did they acquire those weapons? Did they go through all the process?
They were licensed.
Oh, they were licensed. They were actually licensed. Well, that's surprising.
I don't know if they were citizens. I think one was. I think they were Pakistani. So I don't know if they were actually citizens, and maybe that's what Australia's going to do. You have to be a citizen.
Yeah,
I guess.
But
yeah, they were legal. They went through the entire process, and they used weapons that are Australia legal configurations.
Wow.
And they still did this.
Yeah.
So,
but meanwhile, like you said, it's like elderly people are the ones who were expecting to, step up in bravery and take these people out. But it's like, how about, a good guy with a gun is the only person that can stop a bad guy with a gun.
Yeah, people deny it, but it's like, what do you call a police officer? It's a good guy with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yes, there are people who, like any tool, there are people who misuse them, people who don't know how to use them. But if you believe that most people are good people who aren't going to shoot others in aggression, on balance, if you think that average people on the street are willing to be courageous enough to put forth the effort to try to save the lives of others, even when they are outmatched in terms of weapons, as these elderly people were, then yes, on balance, it is much wiser to have an armed population. An armed society is a polite society, as they say. And what happened in Australia is very impolite. So
yeah, I mean, every time I've been in an area where it's very 2A friendly, and I know there's people around me caring, and these are responsible people, trained, I feel very safe. I feel very safe. It's like one of the safest places you can be.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Australia is not going to reverse course on this stuff. Godspeed to all of you down under. We have a fairly sizable Aussie contingency on this show. In fact, like half the people I work with are Aussies. We have the Aussies run this show. I'm a secret agent for them. But yeah, it sucks. I feel bad for them. And Godspeed to everybody down there. All right, I mentioned the Target incident. What happened to? Wait a minute. Well, I had another story. Anyway, don't worry about it, I guess. We'll use this one. This is the give, send, go of the Target lady. But another deranged leftist public confrontation. The type, like I said, it's where it's impossible to believe that the person recording the video doing the confrontation, impossible to believe that she thinks she's the good guy, but she does, and that's why she posted it. This is a Target store in Chico, California. Apparently, a leftist woman named, I don't know what her name, it's like Michaela or something. I don't know, the woman on the left. I'm going to call her Michaela. Michaela Ponce. She's a nurse. She recorded herself berating an elderly Target employee. Speaking of elderly people who need to be armed, this Target worker should have resolved this situation very quickly. But she records herself berating this elderly Target employee on the sales floor. The Target employee is Jeannie Beeman. And Jeannie, as you can see in the frame here, is wearing a red Charlie Kirk Freedom t-shirt while at work. Now, I worked at Target in Beaverton, Oregon.
Did you really?
2009. The only job I ever walked off and said, see you never. But I did. And I remember, like, the rule was red shirt, khaki pants. There wasn't a rule about, like, it can't have a logo on it or it can't be this. Or I'm sure if I wore a red shirt with a giant middle finger on it, they probably would have not liked that. But back when I worked at Target, people even bent the rules to the extent they were wearing burgundy, sometimes even pink. I mean, all shades of red were really tested. And Target didn't have a problem as long as it was, plausibly red. So that's what Jeannie is doing here. She's got a red shirt that, in my Target employee experience from a decade and a half ago, is perfectly compliant with workplace requirements. Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt. It's got the American flag on the left sleeve, says freedom on the front. It's got American flag on the back. And for this offense to the sensibilities of this shopper, this morally superior liberal woman confronts Jeannie and starts acting like her boss.
They let you wear that shirt here?
Yes. Why? Why are you taking my picture?
Why are you wearing that shirt? You're working. It's not a Target
red shirt. I can wear any red shirt.
It's not a plain shirt.
It doesn't have to be
It's a Charlie Kirk shirt.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Are you fucking stupid?
No.
Why the fuck would you wear that? You're at work at Target. That's not a Target shirt. It's not a plain red shirt. You support a racist.
It's not racist.
You support a racist.
He's not a racist.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he fucking is.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stand here and argue with you.
You're not. You should go get your manager. You should not be allowed to wear that at work. Unacceptable. Unfucking acceptable.
That's your opinion.
No, the opinion is he's a fucking racist and you support him.
That's your opinion, ma'am.
And you should not be allowed to wear that. This is going to be taken above your fucking head. That's insane. Insane.
Have a nice day.
In fucking insane.
What class? What class?
Piece of shit.
Shut up, bitch! Oh my God!
Just a round of applause for Jeannie for not losing her cool. And you talk about patience with customer service. Jeannie needs, not only should she not be punished by Target, obviously, she needs a raise. And Jeannie needs to be promoted, and Jeannie needs to coach people in how to handle agitated customer confrontations. I don't know what I would have done if that lady started doing that to me.
But props to her. She did a great job, and that's amazing. I would have loved to have been in the room with Jeannie when she found out that she's going viral and just breaking the internet. Like, what do you think was going through her head? Like, in the aftermath?
Yeah, well, and so she's now Cassandra Fairbanks or Cassandra McDonald has been doing a lot of the reporting on this, and she organized this Give, Send, Go, and this is really within the last like 48 hours. Jeannie has already raised like
over $200 billion.
A lot. $172,000. Let me refresh. $183,000 for
I hope she gets to $1 million.
Yeah, I hope she has an awesome vacation, or just retire. Why are you working at Target anyway? Just retire. But the absolute derangement, of course, to go after an elderly woman over a T-shirt, even if you don't like the T-shirt. I'm imagining a situation in which I saw an old woman working at Target with a hammer and sickle on her red shirt. I'd think, I guess that's weird that like Target thinks like Target doesn't have a problem with communist political statements at work, but I don't know. I guess Target is kind of commie. Anyway, I'm here to pick up whatever bullshit. Guess I'll be on my way. But it really just demonstrates how this perceived moral superiority really has no ends. It is licensed to go after anyone or anything. On Sunday, Matthew, we're watching a video of in South Carolina, there was a black guy at a restaurant who thought he heard a 22-year-old who looked like a kid, but a 22-year-old with a severe mental and physical disability. He thought he heard him say the N-word. And so much like this, the black guy is going after a clearly challenged person and going after the caretaker and saying, you got to stop him from saying these hateful things. The way they will exercise power and try to crush their perceived opposition, regardless of what the actual power structure is. When you worship the false idol of progressivism, all morality, it's out the door, man. Like anybody, regardless of their situation, who challenges the progressive ideal is to be treated with such harshness and such cruelty. It's like, these are the tolerant people who love those who are down on their luck and having hard times. And, unless you think the wrong thing, then fuck you. I'm going to make you famous on the internet and ruin your life.
No,
crazy,
I mean,
man.
This story, I'm glad you are talking about this because it's poetic justice. You have Jeannie here who probably is making minimum wage, and I'm guessing she's working here because she needs the money.
Yeah.
Why else would she be working there? And the fact that she was put in a situation like this where she demonstrated restraint, kindness, and she just didn't apologize either. And now she's being rewarded for it and very handsomely. And I love to see it. I love to see this.
Well, I've been saying it's a weird economic time. A lot of people wondering, there's a lot of uncertainty about the economic future here. If you are struggling with retirement, if you lose your job, not only can you go to the bake shop at the mall in Spokane. What's the name of that bake shop again?
Half Baked.
Half Baked, not Twice Baked. Half Baked. You can go there, or fly over to the Mall of America in Minnesota, find a Somali guy, wait till he agitates you into saying the N-word, then you'll cash in. Or just walk around with a Charlie Kirk shirt until someone confronts you this way. That you'll be taken care of in the future. Everybody has options, even if you're a little unsure about your circumstance. But Jeannie's going to be taken care of, and of course that's very good. She deserves it. Seems like a very nice woman. Michaela Ponce, the woman on the left, mind you, she's a nurse, by the way, a woman who's supposed to exercise the utmost compassion toward the elderly. I don't know if I would trust her to handle my mom or my grandma.
Yeah, definitely not.
But that's where she works. She's actually under a police investigation after this. Now, I don't like what she did at all. I don't see how what she did is criminal, really, unless there was a threat issued that we haven't seen. To me, it's just jackassery. It's not like some kind of criminal action, but the police are looking into it. She also works at the local healthcare provider called Enloe Health in Chico, California. Enloe Health says they're aware of this. They're deeply concerned about it, but they have not issued any kind of statement about her employment.
Has Target said anything about Jeannie?
I don't think I didn't see a statement from Target.
Oh,
but
man.
If
this is their chance to score political points right now. If they want to get some customers back, you bring You say something about Jeannie that's positive.
Dude, Target pissed everybody off because they like around George Floyd time, they went all in on that nonsense. And then they did the like tuckable swimwear and all the transgender nonsense.
This
and
is
then
like, if I was the people working at Target, I would be like, this is our way back. This is how this is our moment.
They kind of quietly removed that stuff and then they pissed off the progressives. Now the progressives are pissed. So Target has been struggling for like the last 5 years in one way or another. So, but yeah, I mean, leaning into Jeannie, not a bad idea. But Cassandra McDonald also went looking into this Michaela woman, and she's now deleted all her social media. But she found one other video that she had posted recently, and this is Christmas relevant, so I thought I would play it. This woman who confronted Jeannie at Target, Michaela, she just posted a video mad at her or criticizing her mom because her mom was planning on buying a Bible as a Christmas gift for her nephew.
I love my mom. There's never a dull moment with her, but I was just with her this morning, and she told me what she wants to get my teenage nephew for Christmas. A damn Bible. The hell she is. He's a teenage boy living in a military house with 2 lesbians. You think he wants a damn Bible? I mean, that's a nice gesture. Give that to him as a gift out of love out of another holiday or something. But for Christmas? Imagine being a teenage boy and opening a damn gift and it's a book. PSA to all your grandmas out there. Don't be doing this shit.
Yes, Matthew. Imagine how inappropriate a Bible would be on Christmas.
Are you fucking stupid?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. But
I mean, that's all you need to see right there, really. Like, that's what we're fighting, really.
I'm lecturing my mom about buying Bibles for the family. By the way, I don't know what the situation here is, but she's describing her nephew is in a lesbian military household. I mean, the kid needs a Bible for its own sake. But I think he needs a Bible because he needs to pray. The domestic violence stats are not in his favor, unless his moms kill each other and he can escape. That kid
needs the truth. That kid needs the truth. I'll be praying for him.
Yeah, Godspeed.
But yeah, the way she treats her own mother, I'm not surprised she's going to treat a stranger who's probably around the same age. Like, that's just terrible.
Jeannie looks like the type who would buy someone a Bible for Christmas. What a piece of shit, like she said. Okay, we're past the top of the hour. We'll get into our calls momentarily. Appreciate your patience, guys. We'll get right to you. But I did want to mention this lastly before we get into the calls. You heard it in the intro, but on the topic of Christmas and biblical stories, the Minneapolis Police Chief had a story to offer us. Of course, Minneapolis is the site of ongoing ICE enforcement right now. Illegals are getting arrested, processed for deportation every day. And so Minneapolis leadership is doing political press conferences about it. And at one of these press conferences yesterday, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said, this treatment of illegal immigrants is wrong. But his reasoning was, after all, the illegal immigrants who are being arrested in Minneapolis, they're just like Mary and Joseph, the parents of Jesus. They are outsiders.
It's especially personal to me, having been raised a Catholic, to be in a Christian church this morning as we are approaching Christmas. And I cannot help but think of what is happening in our city today and how that echoes with how outsiders have been treated for thousands of years. How Mary and Joseph themselves were considered outsiders and forced to stay in a barn. That's what we're getting ready to commemorate as Christians around the world, while all of this fear is happening right here in our town.
Matthew, you are probably a more scripturally informed man than I am. I bet you could deliver some biblical stories off the cuff much better than I could, I'm guessing. However, my sources say, and tell me if you disagree or this is incorrect, Mary and Joseph traveled from Nazareth to Bethlehem to comply with a legal decree to register for the census. Is that accurate?
Yeah, Caesar Augustus, and yeah, they had to go back to where they were from. They had to go back to the city of David, so they're not outsiders. They're going back to where they're from.
Oh, so it's just like it, except for it's the opposite. Right. Okay. Thank you for this Sunday school lesson. I appreciate that.
Yeah. That is retarded. I'm
classic. Sorry. Yeah. Well, do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think he believes what he's saying, or do you think he's just being like
the
Christmas
one thing
opportunistic?
that he did mention something about how they had to stay in a barn, but that's because there was no room at the inn. The innkeeper had no more rooms, so he gave him what he had.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's like if a bunch of illegals came to my door, I wouldn't say, "You guys get the hell." Well, actually, never mind. You can stay in my garage, but I still hate you. It's a weird thing, even if it's not the ideal bed in the house, to offer shelter to people who you have disdain for as outsiders.
Yeah, and I mean, how much worse was the barn when there's no electricity, there's no running water? I can't imagine, had they been able to stay at the inn, that there's just plush king size beds and running water and heat. It's still a primitive time, right? So yeah, the innkeeper gave him what he had, but yeah, the whole part of being outsiders, that's ridiculous.
Well, it's always the implication, you're not a true Christian if, and I know this guy says he's Catholic, and I'll take him at his word. I'm not saying he's a liar, but oftentimes you hear this from people who want nothing to do with the faith. In fact, they have disdain for the faith, but they're still going to lecture you on what it means to be a good Christian. And somehow to be a good Christian means anything goes, anytime, whenever. Not only that anybody can do whatever they want, but you have to put up with it. In this case, you actually have to accommodate it. That's what being a good Christian is. No rules at all, and you serve everyone all the time. Anything else is not Christian.
Yeah, no, and yeah, it's just a weird analogy to bring up. That's just weird.
It's that was what they tried with Trump, right? Wasn't that the Tim Walz thing? They said Trump is weird. Remember that? That was the campaign strategy.
Tampon Tim.
Right. He's doing the gun control in Minnesota too. That's what we're moving on right now. But okay, that is all I got for the news topics. Let's hop into the Discord. Looks like you're good to go, so we'll pull that up. And first up tonight is our old friend Raggle Fraggle. Mr. Raggle Fraggle, how are you?
Can't hear you.
Uh-oh, you can't hear me?
Oh, hang on.
We might have technical difficulties.
I can hear him. But it's pretty quiet.
I can hear you, and the stream can hear you. Can you hear me?
Audio output when you pulled me.
Ah, good to go now?
Yes.
All right. What do you got for us?
So a while back you had on a guest that's a leftist, and you guys were talking about the economy. What was her name?
You're probably talking about Kyla Turner.
Kyla.
Not so erudite is her
kind
of screen name. Yeah.
Yeah, I kept wanting to say Kayla, but it wasn't Kayla. Okay. So she brought up the notion that a 2.5% rate of inflation was considered healthy.
That's their target goal. A 2% is usually their target goal, but I'm sure. I'll take your word for it that she said that. I can't remember.
You might be right. I only bring that up because later on that week, Daily Wire did their little sit down with all the co-hosts or all the hosts of the different shows and stuff. And Ben brought up that Americans, it seems like, really want to go through a phase of deflation. But the problem with that is that would cause an economic recession, which I don't doubt. That makes total sense to me. Nevertheless, it is still what we want. I'm just curious what your stance is on all this.
Well, as in would you take deflation being the reduction of prices for goods and services? I am in favor of whatever the effects and consequences are of getting the federal government out of pretty much everything it's doing. And I know that there are very real consequences for the Band-Aid approach. Maybe we could do it in phases, okay, we're scaling back this year X% until we get down to something zero. By that, I mean everything, taxation, at least from the federal government perspective, spending, all that stuff. You want to talk about what is causing the increase in the cost of living for everybody. It is the government. It's not greedy billionaires. It's not some other boogeyman. It's the government spending money they don't have and applying all sorts of rules that limit productivity. Give you another thought on it, though. I'm proud of myself for how well I timed that. That was great, right against the bell. Yeah.
I'll take some credit on that too. It was a quick question. Well, my stance on it is that if there's anything, the saying of good times create weak men make hard times, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, if there's anything that the previous generations have set us up for hard times, it's trying to get the economy back under control and getting the currency back into check.
Well, yeah. And we're supposed to believe that the Fed is just going to massage us gently to prosperity and a soft landing. No, that's not what they do. They ruin everything.
Every single time.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sucks. I don't doubt what you're saying, that if you rip the Band-Aid, there will be serious consequences. Mm-hmm. But the solution can't be more management from the people who have mismanaged everything. So,
it's really like somebody who struggles with alcoholism, right? Like if you want to get off, you don't no longer want to be addicted to alcohol, you're going to have to go through withdrawals, and it's going to get a little worse before it gets better. Yeah.
That unlike the Minneapolis police chief, that is a great comparison, and it holds. Apples to apples. Anyway, outsider to outsider, you have any final thoughts, Fraggle?
It's just been quite a while since I called in. I'm glad I did. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show.
Well, glad to hear from you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your family.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Merry Christmas to you guys as well. Have a good one.
Oh, he's already on here. He was faster than me. Okay. Any other thoughts on that, Matthew, before we take the next one?
I mean, I'm a Bitcoiner, so
That's right. I forgot.
I believe in a fixed supply of money, and I think inflation, whether it's 2% or 10%, is just theft. And I think the free market is inherently deflationary, but we have to allow it to do what it can.
How did you ever get a job at a public school?
Well, I don't really
kept your opinions a secret.
I kept the Bitcoiner thing kind of at least in the interview process.
What's real quick, because I want to make sure we are respectful of caller time, but I was more in crypto previously. I don't have a lot of crypto holdings right now, but in the big bubble that was like 2021 through, I don't know, but we've had a big rise in 2025 again, but I'm mostly out of it. So I haven't been paying as much attention to it, but I know Bitcoin is way off its high now, but what's your take on, say, like crypto short term? I'm not asking you for investment advice for legal reasons, but what do you think about the state of the crypto market currently?
I don't really follow the crypto market entirely.
Okay.
Like I really just follow Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoin only.
Okay.
Bitcoin maxi. I think everything else is a shitcoin.
Well, that's my fault for buying shit coins, but I tried to diversify, but I diversified into shit.
Yeah, we all learn the hard way. We all have our.
I actually
roads.
didn't really learn the hard way. It's just being a father, costs come up, and costs had to be covered. So that's what happened to my crypto. But that's why you make investments in the first place. Is like, I'll probably need this money in the future. Sure enough, I did, and I have no regrets about that. I don't think I. You know what I lost a lot of money on? Cardano. That's what I lost a lot of money on. Everything else, I think I did all right. But
I had some Cardano at the beginning, but then I've repented for my previous ways.
What about Dogecoin?
Again, like it's a shitcoin.
Don't make me tap the sign.
Thank you. All right. Let's talk to RB. RB is our listener in Eastern Europe. He stays up till like 4 a.m. there.
Wow.
RB, what do you got?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about it, being my usual cheery self and having only optimistic predictions for the future about the Sovietization of FBI. But now that you talk about cryptocurrency, I do trade cryptocurrency, and if you want some non-financial advice, I can talk about that.
It's your call, man. If you want to talk FBI, go for it. If you want to talk more crypto, you take that.
Again, just for the crypto, if you wanted to know the state of it, at top it was at $126,000 was the peak. Since then, a very strange event happened, as these things usually do, something related to deleveraging, or no, not deleveraging, decoupling of stablecoins on certain exchanges that triggered an algorithmic, like massive algorithmic sell-off, like the worst sell-off in Bitcoin history, where it crashed by like 30%.
So
on
for
Bitcoin
us,
and all the other
us
ones.
idiots, algorithmic sell-off would refer to people who have all sorts of triggers set up to sell off automatically.
Straight up programs that are evaluating metrics and are trading on their own. This is called high-frequency trading. This is not exclusive to crypto. Most like trading on stock exchanges is high frequency trading volume. Like automatic trading is how most trading is done, right? And something technical happened that caused the price of the stable coins which are traded. Stable coins are like cryptocurrency that is pegged to $1 and its value is guaranteed by the issuer. So like Tether is one of those, right? And these are used on various on decentralized exchanges, right? And some glitch happened, like technical glitch happened, where it was related to indexing, indexing of, or rather not indexing the value of these stable coins. And instead of a $1 for this USD Tether, the value was evaluated at like 30 cents, right? So that scared the algorithms and it triggered a sell-off. That's how it was explained to me. And basically, this triggered a liquidation cascade, wherein, algorithms started selling, price went down, people that were over leveraged started to get liquidated, and this triggered a cascade, and it destroyed. It created a damage in the market structure. So now it's going to go down. Another thing about it is that Bitcoin sort of reached or breached a sort of very long-term trend, and there are some conspiracy. Some theories about this is going to go like really, really down along with the rest of the market, that there is a debt saturation point wherein even if you try to issue more money and try to go into more of the deficit spending, you're getting less value out of it. And this is going to follow a large deleveraging event that is just going to cause recession, like a massive recession, and a lot of capital is going to get flushed out. And this lines up neatly with the AI stuff, the AI being a massive sort of circle jerk bubble where just Oracle and 3 other companies are passing $10 trillion between each other.
Once the AI starts stealing my Bitcoin with Nigerian scams, then I know we've like really arrived in the future.
Well, the AI is going to steal our graphics cards because NVIDIA is getting out of the GPU, like consumer GPU market. Yeah, they're
How do they steal the power of your graphics card? I thought you meant like the physical component.
Not steal the power. They won't sell it to. They will stop making GPUs for consumer credit.
It'll be unobtainium. You just can't.
They'll reducing they announced they will be reducing the production capacity.
I thought you were saying they're going to hack into my computer and mine for their own purposes or something.
No, that was a few years ago. But yeah, they're like reducing their sales commitment by like 60%. NVIDIA is, which is like the largest shareholder of market, largest market shareholder, right?
Well, thank you for the crash course on crypto, man. I appreciate that.
And
I'll give you a quick closing thought if you want one.
No, nothing. I just the primary thing I wanted to, I guess I'll talk about the other time, was the FBI Sovietization and the stuff that was happening. Like it was related to the damn Bongino. They were never going to fix this because FBI is like Democrat Cheka or a Democrat NKVD. The stuff they were doing on January 6th, the unscheduled museum tour, it was like as close to like hard power that the security apparatus in USA has ever gotten to exercising on the home population, on the native population. And you could see that when they wanted to get something done, they were getting it done. Like recently, when the the person, the young Republicans like chairwoman.
Yeah, the
was
Brown
shocked.
University one. I was planning on talking about that tonight, but there's so much going on. I just thought, well, I'll wait till we get more information. But yeah,
it's straight up looking like she was assassinated.
It's hard to think that was not targeted. If people didn't hear Vice President of the College Republicans at Brown University, one of those killed. Yeah.
Yeah, what's worse is that all the people around it are sort of complicit with it, even though it's sort of like indirectly complicit, because they were doing. It seems like they were doing this weird virtue signal and anti-immigration enforcement virtue signal, where they shut off all their cameras to hamper the ICE deportation efforts.
Oh,
right?
wow!
And this
so they don't, and that resulted
so
in not capturing the shooter, as in not getting images of him.
Yeah, it seems that they didn't do it intentionally. There's not like a murder conspiracy wherein we are going to cover for this shooter. It's just like they're generally being obstinate with the
It might not even be super organized insofar as they didn't mean for that to happen, but let's say that the shooter got word of that opportunity somehow. Like someone told person A who tells person B, and he knows that he has an opportunity for what he wants to do now.
Yeah, he would probably whether he capitalized on a like just general traitorous behavior or targeted plot. The result is the same.
Interesting wrinkle. I hadn't heard that.
Of course, the point is like the FBI somehow they do not get to leverage like the amazing surveillance capability of tracking phones of everyone in a like 100-mile radius around the point of interest, like they did for January 6th, and immediately started kicking doors down.
Yeah.
So that's that.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Have a great night.
Yeah, bye.
What he said on Bitcoin is pretty interesting there. Maybe a lot of this stuff is beyond my understanding of the crypto world, so you might know more than I do. But obviously the appeal of crypto in general, the idea of decentralized banking, financial exchange, all that stuff. But now that it's so popular and so machine run, that what he described in terms of like this accidental run on cells based on algorithmic whatever, doesn't that, to me, that sounds like a centralized mistake affecting the value of the asset, which is what we're trying to avoid. But or am I misunderstanding?
Yeah, I think you're onto something. He was explaining way more in regards to like some of the derivative effects that I actually follow. But I think a lot of it traces back to Trump's announcement in October. I think it was his tariffs, 100% tariffs. I think it was on October 10th. Somebody might be able to correct me, but if you look at the Bitcoin chart, like it can trace back down to that moment. And then there's also people in Bitcoin who suspect that was also when Bitcoin Core 30 was released, and that might have something to do with it.
I'm nodding like I know what Bitcoin Core 30 is, but yes.
And another suspicion is that Bitcoin OGs are selling. So these are people who have hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin.
The guys who didn't sell it for pizza back in 2008 or whatever.
And that they are finally, enjoying the fruits of their patience, and they're selling some off.
Well, I don't blame them, man. You could do this with any investment. I mean, look at silver and gold right now. Man, I should have bought more. And yeah, I mean, I should have. Everybody can do that. And I do the same with Bitcoin. But I remember, man, in around 2010, 2011, the Silk Road dawn of Bitcoin. And I just thought Bitcoin was what my dumb, degenerate friends used to buy drugs on the Silk Road, because that's what they did. I thought that's all this is just like a way to do exchanges anonymously. And it's for degenerates. And at the time, it kind of was. But I didn't have any because I wasn't doing the degenerate drugs with my degenerate friends. And if only I had the foresight to do Molly like my idiot friends in 2010 and have a little bit of leftover Bitcoin in that account, I'd be like Jeannie. I'd be retired. I'd be going on vacation. When did you get into Bitcoin? What was your entry point?
2020. So
okay.
Yeah, but I also am like there's people who are into Bitcoin because they're really smart. They're on the right side of the bell curve. Then there's everybody in the center who doesn't get it and they're not in. And then there's like the retarded autists like myself who are just in it because we want to hodl, and we believe that money should not be controlled by the government. And so at this point, and so that's why I'm in it. But yeah, I got in it, and I'm staying to it, sticking with it, and I'm not selling.
The R word.
Tim Walls is very upset with you for that.
This is shameful.
Anyway, we've got to get to our last caller here. 88M. 88M, are you there? 88M.
Good evening.
There we go. Sorry for making you wait. I got lost on some Bitcoin points that I wanted explained to me. What do you got for us?
I do have a message. I have a message from producer Tim.
Why doesn't Tim come in here and tell me himself? Don't do work for Tim.
Budget cuts.
All right. What did he say?
Trump's address to the nation was pretty much a nothing burger.
Okay.
He didn't even mention Venezuela.
Well, I guess maybe that's good. So it was, I heard it was going to be like, here's the things we've accomplished and what we're going to do in 2026. That's all it was?
That's what Tim said. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right. Well, that's sort of underwhelming, but at the same time, I'm glad he didn't say, at my order and on my authority, I have struck Venezuelan blah blah blah. I'm glad I didn't hear that, because I don't want to get any further involved with this particular conflict.
Or in 5 minutes we will drop the bombs.
Yeah.
It'll be beautiful.
Yeah. Right. So what was it on the economy? Was that the main?
Border security, just random, just regular Trump stuff.
All right. Well, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about a practice that the U.S. Army is finally cracking down on. The past 15 years they've been doing this. It's more of the funny thing about people who say, like, you shouldn't own AR-15s because only the military, people who are proficient with them, should own those kinds of weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Meantime, the U.S. Army was doing a practice called rod and weapons. Fraud?
What was the word?
Rodding weapons.
Rodding them. R-O-D?
R-O-D-D-I-N-G.
Okay. What does that mean?
Is the practice of before you go onto the range or after you go on the range, you walk up, your bolts locked to the rear, you have no magazine in the well, and your weapon's on safe. You walk up, and there should be an NCO with a thin metal rod, and he takes the metal rod and he puts it from the barrel of the gun the whole way down to your bolt, and he's supposed to push hard enough that the bolt is pushed back, so it releases from the bolt open catch, and let the bolt go forward, and so it shows that your weapon is clear.
Mm-hmm.
But it breaks all the firearm safety rules pretty much.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just funny for me, like, this has been a practice for the past 15 years pretty much in the Army and U.S. Army Reserves. And it's just like, well, aren't we not professionals? Like, why are we?
Well, so the rules that are broken are what? Pointing the gun at someone? What is the rule that's broken here? Okay. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't have experience with Army or military training. But I don't know that I hate...
weapon is loaded.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I hate a rule that is going to prevent absolutely any kind of accidental discharge into somebody in a training situation.
Never point a weapon at anybody.
Yeah.
Try not to destroy. And
so is your problem with it just that it's a change in tradition, or is it...
No. Oh, it was unsafe practice.
Okay.
Because the sergeant would have to stand in front of the weapon.
Yeah.
To rod it. And so it's like, let me point the weapon at me as I put this metal rod down the barrel. And if you do have a round in the chamber, it can explode and wound both of us.
But so are you saying, what's your opinion on the change? Are you positive, negative on it, or just noting the change?
I'm positive.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Okay, I thought you were saying you were upset about it or you didn't like it. Okay.
No, I'm happy because it was an unsafe practice, and finally the Army's finally cracking down on it.
So an NCO would stand in front of the weapon, and like you're saying, they would put a rod in there just to see if there was a bullet and to see if it would fire.
Yeah.
That seems hard to believe. So when I was in the Air Force, basic training, the one time that for my specific job, I was a medic, so I only had to fire a weapon once in basic training. They didn't do that. They were really clear about do not point at anybody. It's really hard to fathom how somebody would walk in front of a weapon like that and sort of play the odds. It's like Russian roulette.
Oh, it
There
was common
are
practice.
Well, speaking of R words, I have admiration for anybody who's in the military, and I was not. But people who serve their country, you have my salute, you have my respect. But I also have reliable sources with knowledge, and maybe Matthew can validate this claim for me. Speaking of R words, Tim Walls, there are a lot of R words in the military, and I would not want to be stepping in front of barrels for some people, especially those who, in the context of weapons training, may not have familiarity with the weapon system.
Yeah.
The funny part is like the armies produce a PowerPoint to talk about this. And in the PowerPoint, it says rodent is not mentioned in the range safety manual at all. So it was a practice that was monkey see, monkey do.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of this.
About that.
Yeah, I've never heard of that, but I assume it comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's not in the manual. It's a PowerPoint training point now. So you know something's bad enough that when the Army produces a PowerPoint about it.
Maybe, although haven't they produced a lot of PowerPoints on total bullshit in recent years? I don't know.
Yes.
But anyway.
But that's when you know it's important. They make a PowerPoint about it.
Oh, I think they've made PowerPoints about lots of unimportant stuff. But then again, I'm not the one in basic right now. So anyway, appreciate your call. Thanks for the info on that.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
I forgot to wish a Merry Christmas to our Eastern European caller. Merry Christmas to him and his family. But that will do it on our calls tonight, our live calls. Appreciate our live callers. Do you have anything else you want to say on the military weapons training before we move into some voicemails here?
No, I'm just thankful I joined the Air Force.
Did we talk about that before? I didn't know you were in the Air Force. Maybe you mentioned that and I just forgot. But
yeah, I did 4 years. So I was enlisted in 2017. I did 4 years active duty and then 2 years in the National Guard here in Washington.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service to the country.
It's an honor to serve.
All right. I got a few voicemails here, and then we'll get into emails. Appreciate our super chatters as well. I got to figure out something on the Wednesday show when I come back, because I know that I have left super chatters to the end of the Wednesday show. And I usually do a break in the middle of the Sunday show to get to our super chatters. I'm not being very courteous to our super chatters in this Wednesday duct tape production, but I'll do what I can and see if I can figure out the format a little bit better in the new year. Appreciate those of you who support the show. Okay, let me hop into our voicemail inbox. Before I do, reminder, if you'd like to send a voicemail or a text message or an email, which we'll get to in a little bit, to the show, you can do that through the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. There's a box to send an email. There is a phone number you can call or text, and you can just click it right there on the page if you're on mobile and leave a message that way. Okay, first up is, who we got? Dave is our first voicemail caller. Let's see what Dave has to say.
Hey man, it's Dave. Speaking of our monetary theory and the system that we're going to be facing, I definitely disagree with the idea of having a slow drawdown because we are in a very different situation than any other civilization that has ever existed. Due to the Bretton Woods Agreement and the petrodollar and things like that, we have been able to export an immense amount of our inflation that would have otherwise crippled and destroyed us generations ago. So now we have way more dollars outside of the United States than there are inside the United States. But as the other countries start to abandon the dollar, more and more of those dollars are going to be coming home, and that just promotes more inflation here. And when enough countries decide that they're no longer going to be using the dollar at all, and and we have a huge tidal wave of those dollars coming back in so that they can get anything with them, it will destroy the currency and we will have a very quick collapse. At least that's my opinion. Have a good day.
Well, thank you for the call, Dave. I feel like that one's a little over my head.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
I think he's talking about a lot of the stuff we were just talking about with like Band-Aid ripping approaches to our financial situation. Tell me if I'm understanding this correctly, Matthew, the way you heard it. What I interpret, because I know you're referencing some context of a prior conversation, Dave, but I'm not exactly sure what conversation we had that you're calling back to. But I understand him to be saying, as maybe we over time, if we want to uninvolve ourselves internationally or reduce the amount of tentacles we have in this thing and that thing overseas, that potentially a lot of the money that we have in foreign places could come back here. If you have a whole bunch of money coming back here, I mean, that's what inflation is. You have more dollars chasing the same goods. You'd have some sort of advanced inflationary effect if our money returned home instead of being overseas. Is that what you heard, or am I way off?
Yeah, it sounded like he was pointing to what happens when the demand for the dollar globally goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you don't only have, like, money printing is not the only way to decrease the value of the dollar. It's when the demand goes down as well. And so if foreign investors, foreign nations that are holders of dollars, if they feel like there's instability there and they, move into hold some other currency, yeah, I like what he was saying, because okay. Richard Mayberry says the same thing. He's an economist. He says when the demand for the dollar drops, like, all bets are off. So like all your models, all your calculations that you can project this certain number of inflation, but if all those dollars come back and there's no demand for them, yeah,
that's why you buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's why you buy Bitcoin.
Because eventually, and gold. Do you have opinions on precious metals? I've been trying to improve my stack in recent years.
Yeah, I like gold, but I think Bitcoin is better.
Why is that? Isn't it's supposed to be digital gold, right?
There's a lot of similarities.
Other than, like, I could send it to a guy who's, anywhere. But
yeah, I mean, if you had to, the fact that you can carry, like, all your capital by memorizing 12 or 24 words in your brain, that's pretty cool. And a lot of the gold, somebody was posting about this the other day, somebody that I trust, was talking about how a lot of the gold today, it's really hard to authenticate. And, like, if a lot of gold bricks,
as far as its purity,
okay. And, like, if you, like, a lot of gold bricks are just gold plated with tungsten in the middle.
Yeah.
And so, like, how long and how much money does it take to actually authenticate real gold?
That's always been my fear, is because I'm not in position to buy giant bricks of gold, but maybe someday. But if I've always thought about it, like, okay, instead of buying gold fractionally, maybe I just save up and one day, like, to buy an ounce of gold right now, it's like a car practically. Yeah. It's not that high, but for me to get, like, a giant treasure chest brick, if I ever actually reach the point where I could get one of those as an investment, that's always the fear, is like, how cool would it be to have this, like, pirate treasure collection, but at the same time, I got to fork over the money for that and be very sure that it is authentic in the way you're describing. Otherwise, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're probably better off just buying a bunch of gold coins and then one day melting them down and making your own brick.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. This call, this next one is no name, but I appreciate this call. Might have to explain it to you, Matthew.
In 1992, the Boston Red Sox drafted a young man named Ethan Faggot.
So first of all, thank you to the caller. I looked it up, and you are exactly correct.
Bingo. Look at this faggot.
Have I talked to you about my enjoyment of athlete names that sound like slurs?
No, you haven't.
Okay. It's like one of my favorite things to track. I'm not going to go through all of them. But there's Diego Fagot, who was who almost made it to the NFL from the Navy football team. His last name was Fagot. Luke Nigaman. I like Nick Kurtz, the first baseman for the Athletics. Nick Kurtz, when you enunciate, doesn't sound that dangerous, but say it fast, you get into dangerous territory. The reason I love those names is because they're very dangerous situations for the play-by-play guys. You never know when you might get fired for misreading the name Diego Fagot. Now, I've never heard of Ethan Faggot. But he did indeed. He was drafted by the Red Sox. I don't think he ever made it to the majors, unfortunately. Oh. But here's the thing about Ethan Faggot. Even though his name is hilarious, and God bless him for living a life with that name, Faggett, for those listening. Ethan Faggot is actually not dangerous because if you're the announcer, you just read it as is, and they say, Ethan what? Well, nope, that's his name. It's Ethan Faggot. So you actually can't get fired for correctly reading his name, I think. Like if his name was actually Ethan Faggot or Ethan, you know what I mean, Faggot. But no, it's just Ethan Faggot. I think. I don't know. I'm trusting the caller that it's Ethan Faggot. And YouTube and all your bullshit demonetization, I'm just reading his name. He's a very real baseball player. And we should track him down. I should get him on the show. Yeah.
Like at practice, like your coach might call you by your last name. Like, get over here, faggot.
He's got a whole record. MLB.com, they've got his minor league stats. He played for Red Sox farm teams up until 2000, and I don't think he ever got called up to the majors, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would dig up that tape. Yeah. And now making his rookie debut, Ethan Faggot. And everyone, what? Man, I want to find that if it exists. There's minor league though. There's got to be some announcer saying
there's commentators.
Yeah, as someone went to some sort of Red Sox farm team game and they heard the guy say his name. All right, thank you for that information. I didn't know that one, so that's a new one to me. This one is from this voicemail is from Concerned Non-Citizen.
Hey, Concerned Non-Citizen here. I had a conversation with some highly educated women at work a while ago, two different conversations. One was basically that Elon Musk could end world hunger for $6 billion, but he's too much of an ass or too cheap to do it. So I said, that's not my recollection. I believe he was asking for a specific plan. So she asked Google AI, and it just said, yes, he could do it. And I was like, okay, what are the specifics? And she was like, well, the AI says you could do it. That was the depth of the analysis. So without taking up too much time, I looked into it. It's not the case. We discussed it, and she was like, okay, fair enough. The second conversation was with another woman who said that, the Trump administration is arresting peaceful protesters for no reason. I asked for an example. She said, as a hypothetical, I believe, if you were blocking a Tesla dealership to prevent them from doing business, you would be arrested. So I asked as a hypothetical, if you block access to an abortion clinic, should you be arrested? And her response was, oh, I'd run them over. So I don't think they think about these things beyond, this sounds nice from my perspective, therefore it should be allowed.
Unprincipled women, you say?
Are you fucking stupid?
Well, who could
I believe he said highly intelligent.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah. What's her face at Target was highly intelligent too. No. Thanks for the call. And I think you're very brave to challenge in the workplace, by the way. And I'm glad people do that, whether it's politics or religion or COVID nonsense, certainly during all of that. A lot of times we find that people agree with you or think the same things you do. They don't want to rock the boat. And so when someone actually expresses an opinion they agree with, they're happy to sign on, and the truth is more readily available that way and put into a proper position of power. And I know I take shots at women in this regard. It's not exclusively women, but a lot of times you'll see this effect. It's not just the workplace either. Like, there are a lot of people out there who are so deep in their bubble, and we all have some degree of bubbling. Most of the people I talk to agree with me in some form. They're not totally hostile, but a lot of people exist in a world where their views are never challenged. not at home, not at work, not in school. And so just the mere effort of asking a critical question, not even doing the target thing and going up to them with a phone in your face and saying, fuck you, but just asking like a good faith question. Oh, that's interesting. Why do you believe that? What do you think about this? A lot of people don't have that experience. And so I think you're doing a service just by, your boss might disagree. I don't know what your boss thinks, but I think you're doing a service by doing a little Socratic method around the water cooler. And I appreciate that. And a lot of these women who you're talking about, the other thing that's died recently is male leadership, male assertiveness. A lot of these women will hate you. You had to say, and they'll respond to the resurgence in male leadership. We will restore it one day. It'll return to its former glory. So, I know I didn't talk much about the specific topics of your debates, but I just want to say thank you for doing a service to this country by offering some counter thoughts in your workplace. And I hope you're successful. I hope you don't get fired. But remember, just go to the Mall of America and get heckled by a Somali and then say the hard R and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that, Matthew?
I want to say I saw Elon in an interview or in a tweet maybe where he said, somebody tell me how to end world hunger and I will do it.
I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think right around that same time, I think he realized some gains on some stocks. He sold a bunch of stock so that he could be the single largest taxpayer in American history. I think they took like $6 billion, and which was the amount that could end world hunger, and they didn't do it, obviously. So
yeah, well, that's the thing is the number calculated end world hunger as in what, today or like all time? How do you end? Certainly we're going to need food perpetually. So exactly. The dollar figure required to provide the food can't be finite, Yeah. How did they calculate that?
Maybe it's the cost of everybody to get a Happy Meal today or something. I don't know.
Okay. And that's the thing. You take all the world's wealth and give everyone an equal share of it. Guess what? The same people generally are going to end up rich because they're the people creating new things and working hard and providing all the value. You're going to see it generally go to the same hands. Same thing if you gave everyone a burger. Okay, that's cool. I guess I like my Happy Meal. But fundamentally, the people who are still providing for their families are going to resume providing for their families tomorrow. And those who don't are going to resume not doing that. Even if you get the free Happy Meal today,
Yeah, it would be such a complex operation. Just looking at the continent of Africa alone, to go in and make, I'm assuming you'd have to start thousands of new farms, right? Because there's probably populations of people who have no access to food, and so you're gonna have to get them some sort of sustainable.
They better not be white resources. Farms. Can't have that.
No. But who's going to go in there and be the mastermind behind all that and to get all the infrastructure in place and to regenerate the soil? To think you can just do that with one big number.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem today is we think that everything is just, where does the food come from? Oh, it comes from the supermarket. You can just buy it. No, it actually has to be grown out of the ground.
That is the biggest, I know I talked about this on, I think, last Wednesday's show, but the leftist delusion that baffles me the most, even it's not their anti-God views, and even though those are baffling, it's not even their views on men and women and gender, even those are baffling, but their view on prosperity being the default is amazing to me. I referenced a meme that said something like, when someone tells you capitalism has pulled so many people out of poverty, ask them what created the poverty in the first place. It's the natural state of the world. What created the poverty? The God you don't believe in created the poverty. What do you talk? What they think capitalism made the poverty. They think the default state is everyone just sitting around enjoying steak dinners. And I can't believe that there are people who seriously think they might dispute the luxury component of steak dinners, but they think that by default everyone is happy and fed. Go take a walk in the desert. Go walk in the woods. Find out what the natural world is like. It's not comfort. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right.
It's crazy, man. But they believe it. Blows my mind.
Sorry, Matt. Just need to interrupt for a sec.
What do you got?
I think Restream stuttered for a sec, and some people are complaining in the chat about having audio out of sync or sound cutting in and out. I had an issue. I refreshed and it seemed to fix it. So just for any of the people in the chat, maybe try doing that. So
because I don't have any technical interruptions on my end. It's probably just something from that feed. But yeah, give it a refresh. It should be
possibly
good.
Yeah. But I just wanted to give that update for people so they know what to do. So
all right, thank you for the update.
No worries.
Let's get back into the calls. This one is from no name on this one, but let's take the call.
Good evening, Mr. Christiansen. First of all, thank you for your show. It is both very informative and entertaining. A quick humorous aside I have is that when you said you were 2% Basque by ancestry, well, now we know what souvenir your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather brought back from his Spanish vacations to Sweden in the 900s AD.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to my question. I was just curious, what do you think the Democrats are going to try and run on in the midterms? Their general attitudes and their general insanity and antagonism are not very engaging to most people. Their actual policies are rather flimsy and also unappealing. And I'm surprised, actually, that we haven't heard much about healthcare since the shutdown. So I'm just curious, from your point of view, what do you think the Democrats are going to try and run on in the midterms? Thank you very much, and thank you for the show.
Well, thanks for the kind words. Thanks for the call. For context, yes, Matthew. And I actually referenced this earlier. I have not shown this on the stream yet, though. I did the old Ancestry DNA analysis. You ever done that?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, you're probably smart because they're going to take your data and they're going to convict you of crimes based on your genetic makeup. But I couldn't resist. I just wanted to know. So I did it. And unsurprisingly, I am mostly nearly like the region of Northern Europe, a little bit of Eastern Europe is what I am. Mostly Danish, a lot of Northern Germany, and you got a little bit of other Scandinavian in there. You've got Norway and Sweden as well. But the only odd thing, the only unexpected thing in my genetic makeup by region, because it's pretty much all around the Baltic Sea there, is that I'm 2% Basque, as in northern Spain. And that was news. I have my family history dated pretty thoroughly back to around 1800 or so. I don't even know if anyone's missing. It might be complete. And there's no Spanish person in there that I can identify. So the caller, I think, is exactly right. Like there was some Viking warrior who set sail from Denmark along the western coast of Europe there and had a nice Spanish vacation and brought back who knows, some Spanish comfort. And here I am. That's the story of how I came.
Well, the Basque, I don't know how much you know about Basque country, but
nothing.
I mean, So Basque is a language. They speak Basque in Basque region, and it actually extends to parts of southern France as well.
Mm-hmm.
But they are a people group, and they're famous for never having been conquered by the Romans. And so you got some good genetics there. But very interesting because their language, like nobody knows where it comes from. Like Basque language has no linguistic ties at all to Spanish.
It's its own thing. Okay.
So I don't even think they consider themselves Spanish, even though they're part of Spain, but they are proud to be Basque.
Huh.
And so it's entirely unrelated to Spanish culture because they were never conquered by the Romans, so they don't think they're a Latin people. And
I have no idea who this person or people is or are. I don't know if it was a woman. I don't know if it was a man. I don't know if it was maybe a couple that is way back there. It's just someone like pre-1800 is the one outlier and kind of my.
Well, how many generations back would one person represent 2%?
Yeah, I don't know how I'd have to see how that breaks down mathematically. I don't know, but whoever it is, I believe they are pre-1800 in my family history.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway, as far as the question there about politics, what are Democrats going to do for their political strategy rolling into the midterms? We hate Trump. That's what they're going to do. I know that they haven't thought of anything new in the last decade, but that's all they have. That's all they've had since he went down the escalator in 2015. And sometimes it works for them and sometimes it doesn't. A midterm when Trump, I think, is in a little bit of a political rut right now, or maybe at a low point in terms of his political popularity and enthusiasm. Yeah, they're going to run on We Hate Trump. Your point on healthcare, I think, is very interesting because, of course, the whole point of the shutdown was trying to get these healthcare subsidies under Obamacare. And we're right up against the deadline now. They're going to expire in the new year. Congress has been working on it, but they haven't been able to come up with a solution. And Democrats don't seem to care now in the way that they cared during the shutdown. Like, it's not the emergency that it was. And I think the implication there is they want the situation. They want the subsidies to expire. They want premiums to go up. They want to run on that in 2026, and they probably will. The whole thing, of course, is a scam. Obamacare, the concept, the law was a Democrat design. The expiration of the subsidies from the COVID era, Democrat design. Obamacare in its decade and a half of existence has not reduced costs for the consumer in any way. Costs have only gone up, but we're supposed to believe if they just shovel more of that sweet government money into it, it'll make it cheaper for all of us. Doesn't work that way. But I think you're right to ask questions about why Democrats don't care about healthcare right now. That's why they and cynically, I think it's much worse than just 2026 politics. Like, we want to run on this in 2026. The entire idea of subsidizing the insurers and this massive complicated scheme of getting people insurance that is Obamacare. Yeah, when it fails and you go, well, we tried working with the private insurers and look how that worked. Time for the government to run everything. Time for Medicare for all. And I expect to see that as whoever the Democrat running in 2028 is for president, their primary, that will be a litmus test. You better raise your hand for Medicare for all or you're going to be run off the stage for sure. That is the direction the party's going. You have any predictions on the Democrat future politics short term here?
The one thing that I found interesting was AOC. She put out a video where she seemed really sympathetic to disaffected MAGA voters historically.
She had that story of they're all coming to her now.
Yeah.
They all love her.
I think there could be some messaging where they're going to try to scoop up a percentage of people who are disaffected from Trump right now. And it's going to be interesting. 2026 is going to be pretty interesting because you got midterms. I think the money printers are going to turn back on because they're going to try to take us into an economic boom. But you also have the
It'll
2026
burn once again. Yeah.
FIFA World Cup. So the World Cup is going to be in the United States. You're going to have millions of people visiting the United States, spending lots of money, and people from all over the world. I mean, and it's going to be right in the middle of campaign season, and so it's going to be really interesting, like what happens in the midst of all that.
Hey, ex-MAGA guy. Come over here.
Look at that big ass. Look at that big juicy booty.
AOC welcomes you. All right. I actually got a couple calls during the stream here. There's always a gamble. I have a transcription of what they say, but who knows what they say. This call that we got during the stream is about Minneapolis. Jeremy from Minneapolis about Ilhan Omar and the rest of the stuff. Let's see what he says.
Hello, Matt. This is Jeremy from Minneapolis. Just calling. I just wanted to get something off my chest. It was actually regarding your movie review of Watership Down. I've been kind of holding on to this for about a year or so. I had some problems with it, you see.
I thought it was about Ilhan Omar. That movie sucked, by the way. Terrible movie.
You didn't really have any interest in actually watching the film?
No, didn't. It sucked.
Like you didn't have enough time, or I suppose you were busy at that time. I think you were still working for the Russians. I mean, at that time. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I know the second paragraph of review, basically, I summarized, like, some rabbits did some things, which I could only read in the voice of my senator, Ilhan Omar. It was just
that was the
kind of an odd one, but yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's a really pointless point, but yeah. All right. You have a good, happy New Year, and take care.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, and a Happy New Year.
Much better movie. Thank you for. I'm sorry you had to hold on to your Watership Down rage for what's probably been, I don't know, what, 2 years now, something like that. I joke, Matthew, but yeah, I mean, I haven't done movie reviews in any formal context for more than a year now, and still, like, you son of a bitch, you didn't like that movie that I. Have you ever seen Watership Down?
I've never seen it.
Terrible.
But he said you'd never seen it.
Well, the joke is I've never seen any movie, even the movies I have seen.
Okay.
But I did review it, and I hated it. It's a cartoon movie about rabbits. I can't even remember the plot because it was so complicated and stupid. And they eat each other, and it's like weirdly violent. I can't even describe the plot to it. It was so hard to follow, but I hated that movie. It was definitely a 1 star if I recall correctly.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, are you excited for the new Avatar?
No, I only saw the first one. I actually did see it in theaters when that came out, like 2008 or 9?
Yeah.
Or something like that. I saw that in theaters. How many movies have there been?
Well, they came out with number 2, and now they're getting ready to number 3 because I imagine the technology has improved, right? So you can start to crank these out a little bit more, because before it took a lot of CGI, a lot of work. It took like 10 years to create, but now they can release them a little bit more quickly. But it's I really like the second one, and I like what they're going to do with number 3 here.
The first one seemed like I don't know. It's so long. I haven't seen it since it came out in like 15 years, but it just seemed like a typical. Wasn't the allegation that it was basically Pocahontas repackaged?
Kind
of.
of.
Like the evil whites came in and ruined the native land or whatever.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that, but if you can get past it, I think some of the effects, some of the plot, like, and just the uniqueness of where it takes place, and how there's now they have these different tribes of avatars, and they all have different skills, like kind of like it reminds me of like the Airbender, right? Like there's the fire people, there's the water people, there's the tree people. I
guess I didn't make it that far.
It's pretty sweet. It's pretty cool.
This is all like, to me, it just seemed like Black Panther meets Smurfs or something like that. Like there was, I don't know. I didn't know there were that many races.
Look.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not saying it's the best movie, but it's I think they're on.
Maybe. The thing is, especially over Christmas, I'll have a little bit of time here, but like, hey man, I'm watching Christmas movies with the boys. There's too many Christmas movies they haven't seen. Got to watch. We did Home Alone last year, but we haven't done.
Have you seen Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Of course. Thank you.
Classic.
Punching the reindeer. Who told you could eat? Sorry, that's a terrible one. Who told you could eat my cookies? Yeah.
my dad's favorite part, because that's the one movie he likes, and the one part where he's like, "Poor baby," after he's like racing in the remote control car in the toy store. That part's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie that's so great because of how terrible it is. But that movie was filmed at Mall of America, and back in the day that my family was living there, we had neighbors who were extras in that movie.
Nice.
I missed the opportunity. Little boy me could have been there trying to get a Turbo Man at the Mall of America, but that was back in the day before the Mall of America looked like Mogadishu. Those were good times, Anyway, back before they used to throw kids off the 3rd floor. Remember that incident? Holy crap. Thank you to the caller. Maybe I'll watch Watership Down someday, Jeremy in Minneapolis. You're allowed to defend any movie. I hate it. I appreciate you standing up for your beliefs. Thanks for calling in. All right, one more call here, and then we'll get to some emails.
Hey, Matt. Just wanted to say I have been able to stop a bad guy with a gun when I did not have a gun. But I was 19 years old, young and healthy. Also, my nephew is in basic training for the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Department. So there's another good cop on the way.
Well, there's just dead air on this because it showed there was a bunch of time. But yeah, I think that's the end of the message there. Congratulations to your nephew. And hey, man, that without knowing the details on the story, glad you were able to accomplish that. And thanks for stepping up when the situation demanded courage. Can't imagine what it's like. First of all, I mean, the idea of confronting a public shooter, even when armed, is terrifying to me. I hope I have the courage necessary to do that if that situation ever presented itself to me. But having to do it unarmed is just like, It's probably pure adrenaline, man. You know, it's like you think about what kind of balls it takes to step up in that situation. My guess is you're probably not thinking at all. You're just like, you're pure adrenaline mode, and you're just go. You're not analyzing the situation. But
do you remember the ex-Marine who was caught on surveillance camera? Like he was unarmed, and he stopped an active shooter in a gas station. Do you remember that? It was a few years ago, and then they gave him a medal or something because he saved some lives or something.
Yeah.
And he goes to speak in front of the podium, and he was wearing a shirt that said Epstein didn't kill himself.
No, I don't think I saw that at all.
Yeah, that was funny.
I'll have to check it out. Okay. Thanks to our callers this evening. Appreciate you guys. Got a round of email questions, and then we'll catch up with Super Chat. We'll call it a night. So first up for emailers tonight is Connor Moore. I got to be careful, man. They always try to trick me with names. I got tricked by Jenna Tolles the other night. I thought it was a real Jenna. It's not. Connor, I think, is a real name though, right? That's not a joke name. I'm not getting gotted, right? Mr. Moore is real. While we're flooding here in Washington State, is the flooding in Spokane, by the way, or are you guys?
There is some, yeah.
Okay. But the worst of it is elsewhere in the state. I don't know.
Yeah,
where.
It's not in my neck of the woods, but I've seen pictures.
I was wondering if you've experienced any memorable weather-related disasters. Thank you for the show. Well, Godspeed to your family in Washington. I've never lived through any kind of like serious weather disaster or like any kind of weather I would consider dangerous. I've seen like funnel clouds and tornadoes, but I've never been, like hit by a tornado. Probably the craziest weather event I've seen was in 2011. I was doing a snowboard weekend in Lake Tahoe, and it snowed so much it actually entirely buried my car. I don't mean like have to shovel off the windshield and the rear. I mean, like the car is 100% covered in snow. Wow. That's how much snow it was. And it was so much snow overnight, mind you. Like I've seen massive quantities of snow, but I've never seen so much snow fall overnight. And it was, I was on the side of the lake, the west side, and it was kind of near what used to be Squaw Valley. Now it's Paradise, whatever, or Palisades. That's what it is. You can't say Squaw anymore. And Alpine Meadows. And the resorts were closed because they said too much snow to enjoy safely. I've never actually seen that at any ski resort ever since then or before that. Too much snow to enjoy safely. They just wouldn't even let you go. So that was probably the craziest weather event that I've experienced. But can you top that? That's pretty tame in terms of what people
That's pretty gnarly that your car was buried. But
that was crazy. And it was the lightest snow. Like you could still drive through it. At one point I was driving, and at the time I just had like a Subaru Impreza sedan, like a regular 4-door car. And the snow was so light that you could still drive through it even though it was over the hood. This is like the craziest. And I had to because the roads weren't plowed and I had to get back. So I was like, all right, I got to go. And I got out of the Lake Tahoe area despite that quantity of snow. It was only because it was so light that you could drive through it with a normal car.
Wow.
But
over here in Eastern Washington in 2016, I think November 2016, there was a really bad windstorm. And so we had winds up to 70 miles, I think almost 80 miles an hour. And almost the entire county lost power for 11 days. So,
wow.
11 days without power. And so
this was Spokane or where?
Yeah, in Spokane.
That's a major city too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was every part equally, but I know like my parents, they were out of electricity for 11 days.
That's a long time to go.
It was a long time. And what I remember, what was actually like the silver lining of it all is like people actually came together as a community.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like the YMCA was saying like, even if you don't have a membership here, you can come take a shower. And people were really helping each other out. I remember waiting in line at Home Depot the next day because everybody had to go buy shingles because pretty much if you had shingles, they were all gone.
Yeah.
And everybody in line just talking about, oh, how bad did it get your house? And yeah, me too. And it was just interesting.
When technology is forcibly removed, humanity returns to its normal state.
Yeah. But 11 days, it was,
wow.
Thankfully we had a wood stove in my house. And so we were able to light fires.
Plus the food situation too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's got to get a little difficult, but wow. I never heard of that. That's crazy. I wonder, I was living here at the time and it didn't whatever that storm was didn't have that sort of, we're not super far away, we're not super close, but kind of a generally similar region of the country. And that definitely did not hit here, whatever that was. Noam Chomsky, while acknowledging that you are 100% correct on the primary purpose of marriage, don't worry, we're not getting. It had a revival the other week. I actually we had a caller about it last week. That normally I let callers have a couple minutes. That one ended up being about a half hour. But I thought, oh no, Matthew's coming back, and we're gonna have 50 questions about the purpose of marriage again. No, the topic has been more or less retired. I mean. Says, well, so while acknowledging that you are 100% correct on the primary purpose of marriage, are there people who should lose their right to marry? In some Christian denominations, divorcees are forbidden from marriage. Sometimes convicts are unable to marry. In a previous age, ministers would not marry people who they did not deem worthy of being married. First of all, thank you for validating me.
Don't make me tap the sign.
I've never thought about this angle of it, Matthew. Like, should some people not be allowed to marry or forbidden from marriage? My inclination is to say no, because I think people should be redeemable or redeemed through that union. If there's a person in need of justice, to me, that's an issue for the justice system. And you do your time, or you pay your debt to society. And I don't think it should necessarily make you ineligible for marriage. I guess I'm hesitating to say the government should have anything to do with that, but in general, I'm not a huge fan of the government making marriage decisions generally, even though, of course, I think the institution is very important. If it's going to be policed, I think it should just be the churches or the religious institutions deciding what they are willing to officiate over or bless as a marriage or not. Like, if there's rules to be made, I think it should be made within those churches and religious institutions. They set the rules of the club. If you don't like the club, then you don't participate in the club, or they don't participate with you. But I don't know. I mean, I guess I just hadn't should there be a such thing as banned from marriage within the context of man, woman, normal marriage construct? We're not going to do like crazy stuff that is outside the traditional definition of the term.
Like, assuming they're not serving a life sentence in prison. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of a circumstance, but maybe I could conceive of one if I had enough time.
Let's say that a guy is in prison for life and he did it, but there's a woman who loves him. Should that be banned?
I mean, how would you even...
First of all, it doesn't serve the purpose of marriage.
Yeah, it doesn't serve the purpose of marriage.
But to steel man the point, the union of man always union of man and woman, not union of men. Union of man and woman in principle always serves the design of man plus woman, creates new life, creates new family. Even if that particular instance doesn't, I wouldn't advise a woman to do it. And I wouldn't blame a church that says, no, that's not, to the extent that's unwise for her, we're not going to do that. But should it be like, I guess it depends on what banned means. Like, is it illegal? I don't know.
Yeah, it really depends on defining that term. But should they lose their right to marry? I mean, you can lose your rights in a whole bunch of different ways, though, too. So, I mean, is there a right to marriage?
Not in the sense that I don't think there's like a constitutional right to marry. That's how we've got all sorts of nonsense. It's a matter for state definition and regulation. I think that states should, I don't know. I guess I have a difficult time thinking about the interaction between the law and marriage, because I have a very clear definition of it in my mind, as we've discussed many times on this show. However, the legitimacy of the union has nothing to do with the state. Now, does the state have an interest in promoting traditional family structure? Yeah, I get that. The state might want to define a marriage it recognizes pursuant to that. But when I look at my marriage and my family, I don't give a rat's ass what paperwork is with the state of Montana on that or not. And so to me, if the state of Montana said, we don't recognize your marriage because we think, whatever, in the future where marriage is forcibly two men or whatever, you and your dog, and my marriage is no longer valid, in practice, my marriage is still going to exist because I don't care what they say. And I think for these people who maybe are prisoners or have some sort of circumstances theoretically banned from marriage, how do you even stop it in the de facto sense? Like, yeah, the state doesn't recognize it, or maybe the church doesn't, but we still live our life according to the principle that we're committed to each other.
Yeah, you shouldn't police that which you cannot enforce, too. So,
interesting thought, though. I've never thought of. I guess my answer is no. We're not going to ban people from marriage, but I've never even thought of this concept. So thank you for bringing up something new that I hadn't considered before. Ray always has challenging concepts of To Kill a Mockingbird theme. So we'll have to be very careful here. What is the least racist number of black people to send to the moon? And this is a puzzle. All right. It's racist no matter what you do, because if you send 0 to the moon, it's racist because you're making the moon a whites only place. But if you send all the black people to the moon, you're racist because you are getting the black people off the earth. So, yes, it is very, very tricky.
I don't even like racism.
And I thought, has this color barrier been broken yet? We're about to. He's not the first astronaut of color. The first person to leave the Earth's orbit of color is scheduled for 2026. He's not going to the moon, but they're going to circle the moon. And he will be the first person of color to fly beyond low Earth orbit, according to Wikipedia. This is Victor Glover, scheduled for whatever this Artemis 2 flight is next year.
What defines a person of color?
And if that's tricky too. Like how...
Because there was what was his name? They made that movie about the migrant Mexican worker who went to the moon. Or no, he didn't go to the moon. Actually, he was sorry.
First of all, nobody. Let's correct the record. Yeah. Nobody's been to the moon. Okay,
but did they not go out of low Earth orbit?
I didn't hear about the migrant guy. What did they have?
Yeah,
did they need somebody to do the landscaping on the space station, and they sent Juan up there?
It's actually a really good movie. What's the movie called? A Million Miles Away. It has that one actor. He was also.
You're asking the wrong guy about movies. Yeah, I'm afraid.
Really good movie, but he was a migrant farm worker from Mexico originally, and he grew up in the United States after that. But did he not leave low Earth orbit?
He must not have, according to the Wikipedia definition of the term here, because this guy's going to be the first. Or either that, or that guy doesn't count as color. You're right, or of color. You're right. So somewhere along the line, we're losing the definition here. But yeah, this guy will be the first guy of color to leave Earth's orbit. I know this is like a fun puzzle or whatever, but to your point, I won't be surprised if this is both a racial achievement and racist at the same time. Like when this happens next year, it will be both, and you will be correct. Thank you for another challenging concept, Mr. Ray Sist. All right, XFD. As someone who is or who was newly minted as a 38-year-old, you are over 20. Oh, I thought you were talking about. Okay, you're talking about me. When I read this originally, I thought you were talking about yourself. I was going to say, 38's a great age, but you're talking about me. I'm the 38-year-old here. All right. You're over 20 million minutes old. That means you're about 14,000 days old. Does your perception of time change when considered in minutes or days instead of years? To me, framing time or really anything in different units, that doesn't necessarily do that much for me in terms of changing the way I look at it. Maybe if I were to think about, I guess what is a little weird to me when I think about this, 14,000 days sounds like fewer, right? Sounds like, well, anyway, it sounds like a smaller quantity of time than 38 years. To say that I'm 14,000 days old, doesn't 14,000 days sound kind of smaller than 38 years? Or maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
I don't know. I mean, it's stupid gut level stuff, even though it doesn't, mathematically it's not. But does that do anything for you? Like changing the units of measurement, does that change your concept of things?
I don't think so. I think the only the way I have appreciation for doing that is when you say like you're trying to appreciate maybe the number a trillion, right? And when somebody tells you that a trillion, because we talk about the national debt, it's trillions and trillions of dollars, and then they say, well, a trillion in seconds is 30,000 years. But I don't actually gain an appreciation for it until I know how many years it is. So
okay, so really, yeah, that would be the reverse. Like I'm fascinated by large units to small, and you're doing the opposite. Like you're going small units to large. Yeah,
but because it helps me understand the large numbers better.
There is a lot of truth though that government financial numbers might as well be a billion, gajillion, whatever trillion. It doesn't. The numbers are made up. They're not even real. They're not real number. They are real in the sense that they are numerically accurate or like quantifiably accurate. They're not real in the sense that it's a number that is so outside the scope of the way we understand things. You might look in the night sky and I can't even count all the stars up there. Guess what? If every star was $1, we still owe more money than that, and the stars are infinite. You know. Anyway, yeah. All right. Thank you for the thought on that, XFD. Vig Vagina.
That's disgusting.
When the Bible references man or men, do you think it was only talking about the existing Homo sapiens, the species, or was it meant more broadly to include any future descendants that will evolve, potentially including human machine cyborgs or even completely artificial constructs, as in AI? Now, this is a real brain bender for this late in the night for me. But I thought about this a little bit earlier today, and I know you're a biblically inclined man, Matthew, so tell me what you think. But I think it's got to be referring to man as in like human beings specifically, when we're talking about Scripture or God referring to man. Artificial human-like creations, whether they're like partially human, like a cyborg, or totally artificial, they are by definition like human replications made by humans. They're not human as in God's creation. And so it seems to me that in the biblical or scriptural sense, the term man or men must mean human beings and not other human-like things potentially created by humans. Or do you think I'm wrong in that definition?
No, I think you're right. I think man or men, you'd have to point to the verse. I think it literally can be speaking about men, like males, or it could be speaking, as you said, humankind.
Yeah.
But it's especially only talking about those who possess a soul. And I don't think we do not have that capability as to create and to breathe life, to put the breath of life into anything. And so, yeah, I think it's just talking about human beings.
What do you think this is all why we're going to hit the Terminator reality very soon, is the AI is going to take, it's going to be those with the breath of life versus the replication we've created, like you're talking about. But I never know. Speaking of predictions for the next year, I don't know if it's going to hit next year, but I don't know what's coming first, the robot war or the gay war. Which one do you think is going to be fought first, and why?
What would the gay war be?
The gay war is just the sort of stuff we've watched. It's a catch-all term. So like all these episodes of deranged transgender violence, and it's a bunch of people who have bought into a bunch of people who have gone crazy by buying into delusions about gender and sexuality, and they grow up and realize it's all a lie and they have nothing to live for, and they take it out in these horrific acts of violence. That's the gay war. It's like a bunch of radicalized gender propaganda victims and sexuality propaganda victims who realize the error of their ways and it's too late, and they become militant. That's the gay war.
I don't know. I don't think humanoid robots capable of being like war fighting machines are I think we still got some time for that. So maybe the gay war.
The gay war is already here. It's a trick question. Yeah, the gay war is here. But the gay robots are what we really have to watch out for. I'm worried about those too. Anyway, thank you for the thoughtful question there too. Oh, Spokane Bob, is he the one who came down to your?
No, this it was a female listener.
That's rare. I have like 2 of those. Glad to know they're still out there. Shout out to whoever you are, ma'am. Okay, well, Spokane Bob. How much money do you think has been spent on trying to get Kilmar Abrego Garcia deported out of this country? I believe it has been calculated as precisely
over $200 billion.
Something like that. I assume you're familiar with the story of Kilmar.
Is that the guy who's actually born in the United States or something?
No. He's the Maryland father. The guy who went to El Salvador, they said it was a mistake. They brought him back, and he's been in this bizarre court battle for like the entire year. And
Does
now
he have a green card?
No.
Is that?
No, he's a straight up illegal immigrant who had an order for removal, but supposedly he was protected from going back to El Salvador because the Salvadoran gangs were targeting his mom's pupusa restaurant. He also beats his wife. He also did human trafficking of other illegals, and they're prosecuting him. It's very complicated, the saga of Kilmar. The Maryland the reason he's Maryland father is because when this story broke in the spring or earlier this year, he's an illegal alien with an order for removal that, in fairness, is disputed, but he has a criminal record. His wife had been accusing him of beating him, and he does not belong in this country by virtue of his lack of documentation in the removal order alone, but he's got all these criminal complications on top of it. He was just characterized as Maryland father. Maryland father deported to El Salvador. Well, he is Salvadoran. That would explain maybe why he went to El Salvador.
Is his wife from El Salvador?
I think she is an American citizen, or I can't remember, but she lives in Maryland too. She's Hispanic, but I think she's an American citizen. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember all the complexities.
Yeah, because wouldn't that give him? That would have given him an avenue to pursue legal
That's why
residency.
I'm hesitating to say it, is that might not be correct, because I think that as far in terms of her citizenship, or maybe they're not married. I can't remember. Anyway, we've spent a lot of time trying to remove this guy from the country who has no basis being here. Last I heard, in September, he was supposed to go back to Africa. Not back to. He was supposed to go to Africa because he wasn't deportable to El Salvador because the gangs were going to come get his mom's pupusa restaurant. So they were going to send him to complete the circle of life in Eswatini, which is an African country nobody even knew existed until they said that's where he's going. And he's still, but yeah, like the cost, it's got to be millions of dollars spent on, and I don't even understand why, because they already deported him and then they brought him back. The Salvadoran government was like, yeah, cool, he can stay in our max security crazy prison that got all that publicity for a while. And then there was all this uproar about how his deportation was supposedly illegal. Do you remember Senator Van Hollen from Maryland went to El Salvador to meet him, and they had margaritas by the pool? Do you remember that moment?
No, but I
believe it was earlier this year. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
they had little cherries in the margaritas. That was the guy, and then the Trump administration brought him back, and they're now prosecuting him for human trafficking in Tennessee. I thought that was the basis to bring him back, but now he's actually free from custody in Maryland. We've wasted all this money sending him around the world and bringing all these cases against him. We talked about how he's going to Africa, but he's not. I don't get so far. I mean, I hate to say it. There have been Trump L's lately. It's not as though there are. This is a Trump L so far. It's not final, but it's Kilmar W for now. When he's sitting at home in Baltimore being an actual Maryland dad. Like he fulfilled the headlines. How did we let this happen? He's legit being supposedly, for all I know, he's probably trafficking more illegals on the interstate right now. But ostensibly, he is an actual Maryland dad, and he's living out the headlines. Kilmar W, I hate to say it, but that's what's going on right now.
Wow.
Zoran Mama Salami, soon to be mayor of New York City. Don't know if you'll end up addressing this on your Wednesday show. Oh, I referenced this earlier. But yeah, did you see Trump's post expressing his condolences to Rob Reiner's family, also mocking him, saying he died of Trump derangement syndrome? Love your show. Wanted to ask an adversarial question. Is it not incredibly hypocritical for the right to correctly call out leftist demon people mocking the celebration of Charlie Kirk's assassination, but then ignore or even laugh about the president's mockery of the murder of Reiner? No, I'll refer to the earlier segment of the show. Yeah, speaking of Trump L's, it's a Trump L. It should be disavowed. I'm not going to pearl clutch. I'm not going to make this a bigger deal than it is because Trump posts stuff on social media all the time. But yes, to the extent that you're saying that his views or his words have some sort of contextualizing factor in explaining why he was murdered horrifically by his son. Yeah, I'm out on that. On the same principle, shouldn't be doing that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%.
All right. Thank you for the adversarial question, Zoran. I don't even think it's adversarial. It's just saying, like, yeah, do the principles apply always or when it's politically convenient? It's perfectly fair. Technically a Fed. Matt, I am a Christian and a chaplain in the U.S. military. I don't want to be involved in war or us to be involved in war. I do wonder what the reason if the reason we've supported Ukraine so much and the conflict has drawn out so long is that we can do research on new military techniques in a foreign conflict. Have you considered that angle? I haven't considered that angle. Now, of course, I do believe that the war in Ukraine continues to infinity and beyond for reasons that are not necessarily publicly advertised. Trump came into office saying, I'm going to end that very quickly. So far, he has not. Now, I understand it's complicated. I'm not saying I could go in there and convince the two Vlads or whatever. Is it Volodymyr or is his name Vladimir Zelensky? I can't remember.
Vladimir Zelensky. I think everyone just calls him Zelensky at this point.
I'm just going to call him the two Vlads, the Vlad pals.
I know. I'm just happy he finally wore a suit to the White House.
I'm not saying I could go make them get along, but at this point, I have to assume that the reason this drags on forever, there are some ulterior motives. I just thought it was like people on the payroll or there are some sort of benefit that's like more financial in nature than like a sandbox to test out military tech or military strategy. That's an angle I hadn't considered. You want to test certain aspects of war. Well, if you just have like a war going on. But the thing is, like, the U.S. doesn't have direct military involvement, so any testing of strategy or tech we would be doing would be deferred to the Ukrainians. Would we be doing that? I don't know. I mean, that's the only hole in this I could think is like, why would we pass off our strategy or tech testing to Ukrainians? I don't know.
Yeah.
Might be a secondary benefit. You have any thoughts on that?
No, just thank you for being a chaplain in the military. I saw the Secretary of War's message today. He's, they're going to revamp a lot of the chaplain corps, which seems like good news because there's just a lot of nonsense that happens in the chaplaincy.
Lee, I have an argument on the federal government intervening in California regulation of oil refineries. This was we had a call on this last week. Except for a couple smaller refineries, the last major refinery was opened in 1977. Opening a new large-scale refinery is probably a multi-billion-dollar project. Unlike a business that is just an office or even does manufacturing, it's significantly harder to move operations to a new state, and that's not counting the logistics of getting the crude oil from the port to the new refinery. In addition, military units in the affected area are either having to increase their training budgets or having to reduce the hours of training they do, affecting their readiness. Those refineries could be argued to be a strategic asset. And with Ukraine striking Russian refineries to reduce their ability to use and sell the refined products, there's clearly a national security angle. Plus, they are effectively increasing the cost of living in multiple other states, and those states have no recourse. So, just to catch up quickly, Matthew, and for people who didn't hear last week, the call was about using authority under the Commerce Clause, which is clause of the Constitution I'm not a huge fan of because it's allowed the feds to get their tentacles in everything on the basis of they can regulate interstate commerce. Should we do that to get a hold of a lot of the regulatory nonsense that California does with oil production, because they do a lot of their own regulation? A lot of states depend on Californian oil production, and through their control of the product, you have costs passed off to other states unfairly. And with Skulldugger, who was sitting in last week, our general position was skepticism, not necessarily wanting the federal government to have expanded commerce control in a way that's already been abused in many different ways. This is, I suppose, a plausible way of arguing for it. If I was going to entertain an idea like this, though, there's got to be some very specific way to categorize, say, the oil product or the oil industry. What I don't want is just a blank check for the federal government to declare every industry they think is important to be some sort of national security issue or some sort of national emergency. And if state A, who happens to produce a lot of that product, handles it this way. Well, sorry, now it's federal control, and we're going to tell you how to do it. I know California sucks. We got to have ways around California, but I'm very skeptical of the idea of the federal government being the proper route. If you were to do this in a way that says, okay, oil and only oil, all right, maybe I'll hear what you have to say, but I'm gonna remain Fed skeptical even in the face of California. You have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not a big Commerce Clause guy.
They've done what they've done to guns and a lot of other, just like, what product? I need to do some research on the original intent of the Commerce Clause, because I can't believe that the intent of the language was that, like, any product that crosses state lines is subject to federal
It doesn't even have to cross state lines. There's actually a Supreme Court case. I think this was a while ago, but the federal government came after a guy who was growing food for his own family. So
is this
Wickard, maybe?
is this the Pennsylvania case? There was a raw milk case too, or maybe that wasn't Commerce Clause. That might have been USDA.
Yeah,
anyway.
but basically, there's a guy who is growing wheat or fruit on his own property. It never leaves his property, but he's feeding his own family, and the federal government came down on him because and their argument was that the food that he's not buying on the free market, because he's growing his own thing, is affecting prices of goods that are shipped across state lines. And so they were able to shut down his farm.
Of course, they're always able to shut down whatever they want. That's the problem. And that's why I don't want to give them more power to do this stuff.
There was also a really interesting Supreme Court. This one went all the way to Supreme Court. This was out in California. There was a woman who had doctors, a medical prescription for cannabis, for medical marijuana, and that was the only thing that was helping her. And the federal government came down and they said she couldn't get her marijuana, and even though she was just growing a little bit only for herself, and again they used the Commerce Clause. She ended up winning that case, I think.
She ordered some Miracle Grow off Amazon or something, and that's how they got her.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But they can shut down your farm. They can shut down your ability to own chickens, to grow peaches, to grow apples, whatever, because there is Supreme Court precedent that says because you don't have to buy this on the free market, it is like affecting goods and services that are.
Okay. So it's just affecting the market. I see what you're saying.
Yes, that's what the cases were saying.
Well, I mean, that's another layer that's completely insane. Yeah. Okay. Last question here. Matthew got something on your nose. I don't know which one of us maybe has something on our nose, but it says, Matt, who do you have winning the Grizzlies Bobcats playoff game this weekend? So if people don't know, the Montana State Bobcats are hosting the Montana Grizzlies on Saturday for the FCS playoff semifinals. And that's going to be here in Bozeman. It's the winner of the game will go to the FCS national championship in Nashville. So this is sort of like the secondary level of college football. And this will be the biggest football game in Montana State history ever. The Cat Grizz rivalry, I know for people in other states that might sound lame or stupid. It's a major game in this state each year. They do play each other each season. In the regular season, it alternates between Missoula and Bozeman. But it's a significant rivalry. ESPN College Game Day was actually here in Bozeman 2022 for the Cat Grizz game. So it's a significant game even in the context of FCS. But to have it as a playoff game, that's never happened before in the Cat Grizz rivalry. That's, like whatever, 100 some years old now. And to have the game be for a trip to the national championship, this is going to be gigantic. It's in terms of like Bozeman events. This is going to be a pretty incredible thing. The Cats already beat the Grizz earlier this year in Missoula. I think it was a 3-point game, close game because they're both good. So for my pick, I'm a casual Bobcats fan. I turn the games on Saturday. I don't watch every single play. It's been a while since I've been to one of the games. But the team has been very good in recent years. They lost the national championship to the North Dakota State Bison last year, and I think that was a 3-point game. So for personal fandom reasons, and because the Bobcats already beat the Grizzlies earlier this year, and because the game's in Bozeman, I am taking the Cats to beat the Grizz and go to the FCS National Championship game in the new year, which means the Grizz will defeat the Cats decisively, and I will be totally wrong. But betting odds are Bobcats favored by 4 points. So where's Eastern Washington? Eastern Washington is in the Big Sky. We see a lot of that team.
Eagles.
Around here.
They have a pretty big rivalry with the Grizz too.
Yeah, well, I know they haven't been good lately, but they have been good in the past. They didn't they win the national championship like in the recent
2010,
history?
I think.
Okay, so kind of recent. And they had Cooper Kupp and all that.
Yeah, I don't think they made it that far with him. Maybe the quarters or semifinals, but
yeah. So it'll be a cool event in town here. I will be avoiding town because of the crowds, but I'll certainly turn the game on and I'll see it on Saturday. All right. We are going to catch up with Super Chat and call it a night.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
The Supreme Court case, I want people to look it up. It's called Wickard versus Filburn.
Wickard versus Filburn.
Okay. That's where a farmer, Roscoe Filburn, grew wheat for his own use beyond federal quotas. And the court upheld the government's power under the Commerce Clause, reasoning that even local personal consumption aggregated to substantially affect the national wheat market.
What year was this?
1942.
Okay, so it's been on the books a long time.
Yeah, Wickard with a D at the end. Wickard versus Filburn.
Okay. Yeah, that's not an area of Supreme Court case law that I know much about at all, is Commerce Clause stuff. But it does, I mean, I'll have to read it. I don't know their reasoning, but it does seem strongly abused these days. I'm surprised it goes back that far. It seems like a more modern thing. But, you know, a lot of this stuff got goofy in kind of the area of 20s, 30s, 40s, like New Deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the Supreme Court cases was Gitlow versus New York, and that's like really where the Constitution was incorporated against the states, and so the states lost a lot of power because now the federal government could.
I mean, that's kind of how it went post-Civil War. I know we're not supposed to talk about potential negative effects of the Civil War or the bargain between the federal government and the states since. In fact, I think last time you were on, didn't we talk a lot about Lincoln? Yeah. I mean, you don't have to talk about slavery to ask questions about whether the design or whether it's wise to have a federal government seizing state police power in that way. But Tortuga over on YouTube, Air Canada finally paid me back for my Toronto expenses during their August labor strike. Only took them almost 4 months. Last time I'll fly Air Communism to get through to the U.S. So I know he's coming from Japan. So I wonder how many choices you have. But I hope you had a good North American trip. Well, no, you're not. You're saying the trip wasn't recent. You just didn't get your money back until now. Yeah. Okay. Well, avoid, I guess. Avoid Air Communism if you're going to Canada. Godspeed, sir. Long Dong John. Before Ahmed Al Ahmed, this was the Australian guy who tackled the shooter. There was another Good Samaritan, Boris Gurman, who saw the Sand Nelsons. Oh boy, I can't even explain that one to you, really. The shooters setting up with their guns and an ISIS flag on the bridge before they started shooting and attempted to disarm them like Ahmed did before the other terrorists noticed, and he and his wife became the first 2 casualties. To think if he had just had a revolver, he could have stopped this without anyone worth caring about dead. Yeah, exactly. Those are the people we were talking about earlier in the show. And I know Long Dong John is down in Australia, and instead, the conclusion is the opposite. Let's make it harder for those two to arm themselves. Really frustrating. And I know that, I like to think that that's on the other side of the world. We don't have to worry about that here. No, there are a lot. Yeah. How many times do you hear gun control advocates, look at Australia? Australia doesn't deal with this. Why can't we be like Australia? And it's since shifted. I've seen it this week. Yeah, okay, Australia had a mass shooting. But that's like the second one in like a million years, so it's still working. Yeah, well, if you're on the beach taking live rounds, I guarantee you don't give a shit that it's rare. You want someone to stop that shooter right now. Yeah. So, just annoying. But anyway, well, I guess we got to learn lessons the hard way. Can't learn them from afar. Daniel Yeager. Was Trump's speech tonight a reset? A lot of focus on domestic policy and economics. Now, I haven't heard it.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, did I say Daniel Yeager again? It's Daniel Jagger. I always say it wrong.
Daniel Jagger.
It's a tradition for me to say it wrong. I didn't hear it, but maybe. I mean, like I said, I think Trump has been a little bit astray on a lot of things, or taking gambles on things that maybe aren't paying off. Especially, that's why I say you got to be careful with this Venezuela stuff. Your political capital, you're not a rich man in political capital right now. People are losing patience and goodwill on a lot of they're not eager for mistakes, and so maybe that's getting to them, and the political people around Trump are like, why don't we just hit that reset button and focus on the reasons that people voted for Trump in the first place? I hope so. Hope that's what's happening.
Yeah, I'll have to watch the speech.
Yeah.
My mom usually fills me in because she always watches the national addresses pretty closely, so I'll ask her what she thought of it.
She watched them all, or is she a Trump super fan? Like my friend?
She's not a Trump super fan. She actually was the one who came to me about not liking Trump's response to his post on Truth Social. So I was actually kind of surprised. And then I read it. I was like, dang, actually, yeah. So,
it's pearl clutching all around. Join the club. All right. George Krillin, a friendly reminder what the classified standard operating procedure for the then new M109A5 went missing from Tim Wall's unit just before one of his 30 China trips, and then reappeared on his return. Now, I don't know so you're saying that Tim Walls took military intelligence to the Chinese. So this would be the U.S. Army's M109 self-propelled howitzer fleet. This is a tank. So this must have been new at the time of Tim Wall's time in the National Guard, I take it, and he went to China and gave them some secrets, is the allegation. I don't know the timeline there, but Tim Walls does love China. Tim Walls has very suspicious friends too, who like to engage in unscrupulous hobbies.
30 times. Is that an exaggeration or is that accurate?
I know he went to China a lot. I don't know if this person is saying like every time was an intel delivering trip, but he did go to China a lot.
Huh.
So I would definitely check up on the timing of all of this.
Definitely worth checking into.
Because I wouldn't be surprised at all to learn that Tim Walls is actually a traitor in that regard. He's not just an R word. He's a traitor too. Producer Tim, I have to push back on the Reiner post. Can anyone explain what Trump actually meant? People think it was tone deaf, but can you really say don't know what Trump meant, but I'm sure it was bad? Media didn't even do their job clarifying. No, I understood what he meant. Yeah, I don't know what other people said about not knowing what he means. I understand what he means. I interpreted that to say Rob Reiner had Trump derangement syndrome, and that is at least in part why he was stabbed. If you got like some evidence to show for that, I mean, I guess Rob Reiner definitely was driven by a dislike for the president in his life. I don't think that's like inherently false. It's just to say that like that's why the stabbing happened, and to imply that A connects to B without really any plausible reason. And then there's the like, despite the Trump record achievements, like there's this self-aggrandizing thing in the context of the stabbing. So I didn't feel like it was unclear in what he was saying and what he meant. I just it's just wrong. It's wrong morally, and I think it's probably wrong factually too.
Yeah,
but
it could have been an easy win, honestly. Yeah. And we wouldn't be talking about it, really.
Yeah.
And Trump kind of, he should have just said this is a terrible thing, and we're sorry.
Tim also says the father was an immigrant and the son was Aussie born. So these are the two shooters in Australia. As an Aussie, I hate that people are praising heroes for having to disarm the gunman with their bare hands, and then also say, well, maybe we should disarm everyone. You fucking what, mate? I don't know how to say that in Australian accent. Australian accent is impossible for me. I can't do it. I can't even do a good crikey.
Yeah, I always end up, I can maybe get like one or two words, and then it just ends up sounding more English.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. I admire the Aussie accent. I just can't do it. Injured Guardian, Joseph and Mary had a large extended family. This according to Luke 2:43 through 44. And many would have gone with them to Bethlehem. The inn wasn't lacking just the one room for them all. Yeah, I assume there are probably a lot of angles why the old illegal immigrant narrative is not very applicable to the story of Joseph and Mary. Thank you, Injured Guardian. Tim also says, oh, and that Target clip takes me back. Remember the good old days of the Lyft driver who was shamed for the hula girl on his dashboard? Or that guy who had the name Hugh Mungus. That was in Seattle. Do you remember that one? Way back in the day? These are like old school feminist viral moments. I think the hula girl, it was like a Lyft driver got berated for having a hula girl on his dash because that was like a patriarchy thing or something. And then there was a guy who was at a Seattle city council meeting. I forget why he was even there, but there was some like feminist activist there asking him what his name was. And he didn't want to give her his name, so he just kept telling her his name was Hugh Mungus. And she just got totally wound up in this rage because that was seen as like a sexual comment too.
Yeah.
So she manufactured. It's hard to describe, but Hugh Mungus was a viral freak out for leftist political reasons in Seattle. Yeah, it did. The Target thing did kind of have that old school feel to it. Like these public confrontations. I don't know. They still happen.
I just love Jeannie, man. Jeannie was W for Jeannie.
Got to get her. If I can get Jeannie on the show, that'll be a career highlight. Tim, listen, you got to go find Jeannie. If we can get her from the Hawaiian beach while she's on vacation, that'll be great. Taker 610. Wait, are you telling me they're using the Bethlehem story and not the flight to Egypt for their immigration allegory? They fled into Egypt because of King. This is where Herod. King Herod. I was going to say my biblical ignorance is going to show, and I'm going to mispronounce it. King Herod's threat to kill young boys. #NoKings. Now, as I mentioned, my Bible story off the cuff knowledge is not great. So can you add context?
Yeah, they had to flee to Egypt. King Herod said every boy, I think under 2 years old, they were going to kill. And so they left Egypt and stayed there until King Herod died. And then it was safe to come back. So that actually is a much better, reference for Mary and Joseph if we're talking about migrants, because they had to go somewhere that was foreign to them.
Well, there you go, Police Chief of Minneapolis guy. Why don't you hire Matthew to be your Bible consultant and spokesperson? Tim also says, apologies for passing a message on through a listener. Just seems silly to interrupt your show, only to say I have nothing to tell you. Well, as always.
You're fired.
Also, bill criminalizing gender-affirming care for minors has passed the House an hour before showtime. Isn't that Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill?
What was the bill called?
It's the bill that's trying to stop gender transitions for kids federally, and Marjorie Taylor Greene has been pushing it. Now we'll see if it's got to make it through the Senate. Trump's got to sign it. I don't know all the terms of the bill. I don't know exactly what it restricts, but generally, like gender stuff for kids in the medical setting is going to be potentially restricted if this bill makes it all the way through. Taker 610, Matt, I've definitely been to the Target you worked at, and I lived in that area for a long time up until 2010. Did Ethan have a teammate named Gay? Ethan Faggot, you're talking about. Yeah, did he play with Robert Gay or something? I don't know. Maybe. But there are a lot of, like Matt Gay, the kicker. You ever see him?
Yeah.
He's on the 49ers now, I think. His 49ers jersey is very hot. San Francisco, Gay on the back. Yeah. Yeah, you might have run into me. It was at the Beaverton Target of, God, what was that off? I forget the street, because aren't there a couple Targets in Beaverton? Maybe not. But I worked at the Target in Beaverton that was not, I was living in an apartment in Lake Oswego at the time. So what was the road that you would take to get down there? Like Boone's Ferry or something? Can't remember. My knowledge of like Southwest Portland geography is fading because I haven't been back in any meaningful sense since 2010. But that summer of 2009, you could have found me there. Anyway, thank you, Taker. Injured Guardian, why are so many U.S. nurses so evil and so whorish now? There's a lot of...
Do you remember the dancing TikTok nurses?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Gosh, like who would you want to take care of you less than those people?
Probably this woman who was yelling at Jeannie. I'd still take the dancers over her. But yeah, it's like there's a lot of... what was that famous viral video of all those women dancing in that office building too? That it just demonstrates in the way that like that just white men in general have been pushed out of professional spaces for political reasons. They've been overtaken with this like dancing female craze. And listen, I'm not trying to take shots at not every woman out there, but it's like every one of these videos is a demonstration that zero productivity is happening at this workplace. You could cut half the staff and it'd probably be more productive if you have. But you're right, even in the COVID time, the premise was an emergency, a health, like we're all going to die. But you have time to make these videos.
Like some of them were really well choreographed. Too.
Yeah.
Like they spent at least a couple hours trying to plan that.
Man, where did I see like a behind the scenes video of the family that makes these stupid dancing TikToks? And they showed, it was like if someone had a behind the scenes video of the making of.
Yeah.
And the level of coordination required, and the mom is like the director. No, you on the spot, here, you, da-da-da-da-da. And they have to do like 50 takes.
Yeah, I saw that one of the captions for one of those, it was, I'm so happy I had a normal childhood.
And then, if it's the same one I saw, someone replied like, yeah, it's a cool video, but what it doesn't show is when mom murders the whole family after the post doesn't get the amount of likes that she wanted or something. Yeah, it's too crazy. If your mom's doing that to you, you need to be rescued. Hopefully, what's-her-face's mom gives you a Bible for Christmas so you can escape that situation. Injured Guardian, one New York City man watched the first Avatar in theater 100 times. That wasn't you, was it? You didn't go to... Wasn't that movie like 3 hours? Speaking of,
yeah, it was a long one.
3-hour production here. 100 times. That's like is that 14,000 minutes too? Is that an entire lifetime to watch Avatar 100 times? Joshy boy, your average Nelson is not going to care about some brown guy circling the Earth in low orbit.
That's some bull.
Well, Joshy boy, he has a Nelson card, so he's allowed to. To clue you in on the term Nelson, there was a guy during the food stamp craze. There was a news story about how this guy in Nashville, his name was Nelson, and he realized that he's going to have to work or volunteer to qualify for food stamps. He's 38 years old. He has no kids. He doesn't work. He doesn't go to school. He doesn't do anything. He found out he'd have to do the minimum possible to collect his food stamps, and he said on the news broadcast,
"That's some bull."
So that's what a Nelson is. It's the other N word.
Okay.
Joshy offering his commentary about Nelson Americans. Tim says, Matt, well, I tried, Matt, but I cannot for the life of me find the video clip of an announcer having to pronounce Ethan faggot. It's old. It's like the 90s, too, so who knows if it's even out there. It's before phones, cell phones, or at least video recording cell phones. Also, after the Bondi shooting, bloody lefties are saying we must decry all forms of hate, like Islamophobia. Seriously infuriating. Right, it's all forms. It's all forms. We're not going to talk about particular things. Taker 610, Zarna, Joshy, and Humongous classic. Yeah, she must have been the crazed lady, but I remember the Humongous guy. Takes me back.
What about Zarna Joshy? What is that?
That's the name of the woman who went crazy. I don't know what her story was, but yeah, ZARNAJOSHI. She was the one who freaked out at the guy. Yeah, she was the one who freaked out at the guy for saying humongous. Okay. I don't know what happened with Rumble tonight. Like, I know that I might have been disconnected from any Rumble chats that came through. I know Tim had mentioned that there was potentially some problems with the stream. So Rumble's all good. Odyssey's all good. We're all clear on YouTube and Tippy Stream, which means we cleared 3 hours just barely, Matthew.
Let's go.
Thank you for coming along for the tour. Anything you want to mention before we're out of here?
No, it was a lot of fun, and thanks for having me.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in this evening. Thanks to our live chatters, super chatters, callers, emailers, everybody making the live show a success. If you're listening on demand later, thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Thanks to Matthew Mastronardi for joining tonight. Follow him on X at RealMastro21, linked in the description. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance as always. Anything show related, MattChristiansenmedia.com. Wednesday's off for a couple weeks. I'll see you back on Sunday, though. If not, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.